How do you handle the fact that this is brought up every 4 years?
I'm over it already. I can't keep dwelling on it. Whenever she's ready, she's ready. And I'm here. I want her to be able to come to me and say, okay, let's have a sit down. There's some things I want to know. So I just have to have patience. I want to let her know that I love her. I'm very proud of her, but I'm just still waiting, I would like to sit down and talk to you and answer any questions you may have.
All right, y'all. This is Simone Biles' mom, her biological mom. Simone was adopted. She went to foster care and was adopted by her grandfather. And as you all know, Simone Biles just won her millionth medal, and she's just doing all these great things. And guess who wants to pop up and come into this woman's life after she's had all this success? Her her biological mom. So we're going to talk about this, and I have a very special guest who has also been adopted, who was in foster care. So this is going to be a very, very, very deep and emotional conversation, because not only are we going to talk about Simone Biles because she was in foster care, we're also going to talk about somebody else that was in foster care. And you got to wait until later on for me to talk about that person. All right, so hit the like button, drop your city in the chat. Let me know where you at. And if you were adopted, let me know in the chat, because this is going to be a very inspirational conversation. So here we go. What's going on, Precious?
Hey, how are you?
All right, so some of y'all may already be familiar with Precious. And for the people who are not familiar with you, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm the Real Precious. I too have a platform on YouTube. I have been adopted and in foster care. So I'm very informed on this subject. Mr. Lego and I are not strangers. We have done content together as well. So I am back to talk about this subject with Simone Biles and her biological mom wanting to be back in her life.
All right. Shout out to Philly. Shout out to Louisiana. Drop your city in the chat so we can shout y'all out. And Precious is from New Jersey. She's from Jersey. So, all right. So, before we get started, why is this so important to discuss when it comes to adoptees, people who have been in the foster system, mothers wanting to come back, mothers abandoning their daughters, and all this stuff? Why is this so important to talk about?
It's important because a lot of people are not necessarily informed. When you talk about adoption and foster care, a lot of feelings get thrown around and facts aren't really dealt with. Especially from the adoptee, the biological parents, and then the adoptive parents. Simone Biles has a unique case because she got adopted by family. A lot of times, and then there's a such thing called a open adoption and a closed adoption. So she got adopted by family, which seemed like a partially closed adoption. I'm sure family, you could work something out with them, but a closed adoption, like my adoption was closed. So there was no contact with my biological family. And so it's important to talk about these things because, for one, a lot of people don't talk about it. It's kind of like a taboo subject because, again, there are so many feelings and so many delicacies that are involved in the feelings. You have the adoptive parents who say, "Oh, you should be grateful that you got adopted." You have the adoptees that's saying, "I do or I don't want to know where I come from." So it's a lot of emotional waves that you go through in the process. I think a lot of people should be open to it because there are women who may be looking to adopt that they may not be able to have their own children naturally. There are family members who adopt their family members and they still find it hard to tell that child that they're adopted, even though their mother is probably their niece, or you know what I mean, they're
Yeah.
very family. And so it's important to always have the conversation, always have an open conversation. You got to keep your heart open when it comes to things like this, because again, it's just so delicate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So we're going to break all of this down, and we're going to talk about it, because this is going to be very interesting, because I have a different way of seeing these things because of the childhood trauma aspect, and I'm sure you have a superior aspect of seeing this also. So this is going to be interesting. All right. So everybody hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button. Let's go.
How do you handle the fact that this is brought up every 4 years?
I'm over it already.
What do you think she means by every 4 years? What is this every 4 years thing? Do you know, or what is that?
I'm not quite sure. To my knowledge, it seemed as though her son, um, who adopted Simone, asked her to give them 6 years so they can become acclimated to the lifestyle of being adopted, living in a new environment, things of that nature.
Okay. Well,
Um,
it's her dad, right?
right, her dad.
Yeah, it's her dad. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So her dad, pretty much laid down the foundation and said, so again, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, there are closed adoptions, there are open adoptions. And so in their case, she's legally adopted. And so in her case, it seems as though it's still kind of like an open adoption, because they're not saying that she couldn't see or have a relationship with Simone.
Mhm.
They just said give it 6 years. But because she was addicted to drugs, it took longer than those 6 years. So I'm thinking that maybe it was a check in every so often, or based upon Simone being in the Olympics, and that being, I believe that's every 4 years. So she's hearing Simone's name, medals, winning, injuries, abuse, a lot of things that's going on with Simone. She's hearing about it, and I'm sure they're contacting her or in reach with her about that relationship every
Yeah.
so.
Okay. So the 4 year thing may be some legality having to do with the adoption, or
Mhm.
either a 4 year thing is kind of like, okay, so I see what you're saying. That makes sense. That makes sense.
You know, I mean, I can't keep dwelling on it. Whenever she's ready, and I'm here. You know, I want her to be able to come to me and say, okay, let's have a sit down, because there's some things I want to know. So I just have to have patience. I want to let her know that I love her. I'm very proud of her, but I'm just still waiting. I would like to sit down and talk to you and answer any questions you may have. I don't know what you've been told, or
Why do mothers, maybe fathers too,
Mhm.
I'm sure fathers do this too. Why do parents do this? Why don't they just reach out to their damn kid? Well, actually, um to a certain degree, I did this also. So I want to say fathers, but my situation was totally different. Me and my oldest daughter got into it, and we fell out for a minute, and we just wasn't talking. But it wasn't no adopted or never seen her. I raised my kids, but and I was a little stubborn. But why do you think parents just be like, well, she want to talk to me, she can call me, like what? And we the freaking parent. Why do we do this? I'm gonna say we.
Um, because there is a complex of I'm the adult, you're the child.
Mm-hmm.
So, as the adult slash mother slash father, I'm going to always be there. I'm the constant, right?
Uh-huh.
I brung you into this world,
Yeah,
thing,
yeah. The
right?
ego.
But I
Yeah.
think in her case, because my mom was also addicted to drugs, okay,
Okay.
and I sought my mother out because my adoption was closed.
Mhm.
So even if she wanted to look for me,
She
or
wasn't able to.
couldn't do that, right? And Simone Biles' mother's case, again, it's so different when your family adopts you than when strangers adopt you.
Yeah.
And her mom is the constant. It's like, okay, you got adopted by someone in our family, and I don't know what they've been telling you. I don't know what you feel, but whenever you're ready, I'm here to answer any questions that you have. Her mom can be going through shame. Her mom can be going through guilt.
Yeah.
Her mom can be her mom is already doing all the bashing that Simone could possibly be throwing towards her mother.
To herself.
Already doing that to herself. It's already because drugs, they heal the pain of trauma. So she went through something.
Yeah.
Simone Biles' mother went through something. I mean, her father adopted Simone and her sister. So my thing is, what was going on in their family unit, in their home? Because there was some lack, loss, something there that she was going through. Now, it's not Simone's fault, but Simone is the recipient now of that trauma.
Yeah.
And so her mother is going through her own battle. She's only 2 years clean. And I hate to say only because it isn't an accomplishment. They go through those steps and they, go through those classes and things. And that's a huge accomplishment for them. But mentally, physically, emotionally, even spiritually, when you go through being an addict, for one, you're going to be an addict forever.
She said that too. Yep.
You're going to be an addict forever. So everyone is always looking at you like, oh, that crackhead, or she gave up her children. She ain't want her kids. Now her child's an Olympic medalist, and now she want to come back. She probably wants some money. You see how people will go to
That's what everybody said. Yep.
They'll go to the extreme and not really break down the humanity of what's really going on.
Yeah.
Again, Simone's mother, Sharon, she's responsible for, being addicted on drugs and things of that nature. But again, she had to be going through something, didn't get the proper care, didn't get the proper guidance like Simone did. And so now Simone almost has an upper hand because she has the guidance. She has the wisdom, even though her mom, we were talking earlier before the show started about, being the actual parent of our parent.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes the children have more emotional intelligence than the parents do. And so now it's kind of like, remember Antoine Fisher when he went to go search for his mom and his mom sat there the whole time? I didn't even know that was Viola Davis back in the day. That's how
that was her. Yeah.
Antoine Fisher. I was like, oh, that was Viola Davis. But you see how she couldn't say anything to him. You see how she was pretty much frozen in the moment while he just got out everything that he needed to get out. You don't know what to say. You don't know how to act because you don't have that intimacy with your child. That's your child. And you bring them into this world and the blood that's in your veins is running through their veins as well. But you don't have any intimacy with that child. And so all her mom really can say at this point in time is whenever she's ready, if she has any questions, she can come to me. She can come speak to me. Her mom's not going to make that move because there's already been stipulations on the relationship anyway. So her mom is not going to, and maybe she's tried. Maybe Simone wasn't ready. Maybe Simone's parents, her adopted parents, guarded her. Right. They guarded her from that. And there's a lot that adoptive parents do not tell adoptive children to protect them, to guard them, when I was adopted, we didn't even talk about my biological family. That wasn't even a topic of discussion. It was not a topic of you would have thought I was born at the age of 8.
Yeah.
It was not a topic of discussion. And you really can't you have to be, you really have to be taught and trained on this because you can't withhold information from a child, the information that makes them whole. You can't take that away from a child. That child has to make their own decision with all the information, with all the facts.
Okay. So we shouldn't be feeling a way, because I feel a way when she's like, well, she can hit me up whenever she wants to, but it's so many, not just feelings, but rules that she, to a certain degree, had to abide by, because this may be Simone saying, I'm not ready. This may be the parents saying, I'm not ready. And this may be some adoption agency saying, you can't do A, B, and C until something else.
Well,
So, yeah.
How old Simone is? Like, what she say? She's 27, right?
She's 27. Yeah.
She's at an age now that, you know, I'm not quite sure where well, again, she was adopted with family. So she didn't have to go looking through files and go to courthouses and things of that nature. She's at an age now that if she wants to talk to her mother, if she don't want to talk to her mother, that's solely her decision.
Yeah.
It's solely, up to her. But again, Sharon is, the only thing that she can say is when she's ready. That's the only thing she really can say is when she's ready, I'm here. And a lot of times you don't even get that. There's a lot of parents who give their children up for adoption, especially mothers who don't want to have nothing to do with the children, who will never want to see the children again. And then you have, vice versa, where the children are like, I was raised good. I don't need to talk to, whoever brought me into this world. I think that is a little sad, because in order to know yourself, you need to know the full picture.
Your parents. Facts. Yeah.
You have to know the full picture, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. When I went to go look for my mother and my father, I accepted the fact that I was raised well. So I'm not going to look for someone to raise me. I'm not going to look for even someone to love me. I want to know where I come from. I want to know where I got this attitude from. I want to know where I got these looks from. I want to know what's in my family history. I want to know that, when I'm older, what am I looking at ahead as far as family health issues?
Health issues. Yeah.
What are the children going to face when they get older? You know what I mean? So those are the things that are important at that time. You already missed the formative years. You already missed the teen years. Now she's an adult. The girl is married. Like, she is now starting her life. And the reason that Simone should want to speak to her mother and get a whole picture of who she is because Simone gonna have kids. It's gonna come out. Simone gonna be pregnant. We're gonna see the headline that Simone is a mother.
Yeah.
Just get ready, y'all.
Right.
She's gonna be a mother soon. And so in being a mom, being a mother changes the way that a woman thinks. And because you want to protect and teach and raise and things in totality with your child, that first starts with you. A lot of times you see a lot of children just veering off doing whatever because it's a parenting problem. The parent isn't whole. The parent don't know, themselves. The parent wasn't guided. And so you can't pass anything along until you really know yourself.
Without knowing your lineage.
Right. And so that's the reason why I would hope. And plus, like I said, Simone got guidance. Simone has wisdom. Simone has discipline. She has a lot of attributes of someone that can hear Sharon out. Let me just hear you out. I will come talk to you. I will humble my heart because guess what? God has blessed me. I didn't have to deal with a drug addicted mother. I didn't have to deal with being left alone by myself or not knowing when I was going to eat. Now she did go through that little time in foster care.
Yeah.
But God spun the block for her. He made sure she was good. He made sure she had everything that she needed. And so when you realize how your life could have been a lot different, that's where that humbleness comes in at. Like, man, I really wonder what this woman was going through being a drug addict, probably not knowing where she was going to eat, not knowing where she was going to stay. I want to hear that story. I want to know what that sound like. I want to know what that looked like from her.
Let me give you some opinionated pushback because it's simply my opinion. It's not really factual pushback. It's opinionated pushback. One, she knows her lineage because her mother's father is raising her, right? So I would say the best way to understand your lineage is to know where your mother came from and how your mother was raised, because that's something that most people don't even know. I don't know how my mom was raised. I don't know why my mom was a pookie picker, when I was, being raised by her. I don't know why all these dumbass decisions my mom was making, why she was making them. But if I was to talk to my mother's mother or my mother's father, I would be like, oh, and so imagine Simone Biles having all of the info on why is a possibility that her mom got on drugs in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. But
Yeah.
let me say the second thing. And the second thing is the discipline side of it is like my parent, mother in particular, is the epitome of non-discipline because she's addicted to drugs. And she said in this video that I'm always going to be addicted, versus her non-addiction and her level of discipline, of eating right, living right, and doing all these other things makes her the spitting image of the opposite of her mom, where being around her mom, hearing her mom saying, well, you already know I'm a victim of circumstance and I'm in a hood and I'm making all these excuses and it's your daddy's fault, or is this person's fault, or it's your new daddy's fault. They took you away from me and guilt tripping her, making her feel like it's her adopted father's fault instead of her fault. That can actually cause a rift in her relationship with her adoptive father, because she might come in here with all kinds of victimization, like, oh, they took you from me, they didn't let me see you when you were 5, or and that can cause problems where you like, wait, you wanted to see me, you wanted to do this, and they took you from me, what? And that can cause a problem, maybe. What do you think about that part?
Well, to the first thing you said, I believe that you have your relationship. She has her relationship with those who adopted her, which is her grandfather, right? And while her grandfather can tell her any and everything about Sharon, his daughter, he can't tell it from Sharon's perspective. He just can't tell it from Sharon's perspective. I could have asked my grandmother about my mom, but more than likely there's a close connection of why my mom was that way, and it came from my grandmother. So my grandmother is going to give me her perspective of, well, this is what I was going through, and this is why I couldn't be there for your mom, where I didn't have this support, and this and this. Sharon must have lost support that Simone inherited.
Yeah.
So now you have to hear, because when an adoption takes place, there's loss on every end. Even the adoptive parent who gains the child will lose the child at some point, because there will be in a perspective that the child gains that the adoptive parent probably don't want the adoptee to have, because they're shielding them and they're protecting them from all of these things. That one of the fear is that the adoptive parents now become the adoptee. And I don't think that a lot
wait, what?
realize that.
Can you explain that? What?
One of the adoptive parents' fears is that they become the adoptee. Now they feel abandonment. Now they feel rejection. Now they feel like that child is leaving them to go elsewhere.
Oh, to go back to them. Ooh.
Right. Whereas now it's like you are fearing what I feel.
Yeah.
So now you know what that feels like, but you don't want to hear me out. You don't want me to tell you what that feels like, because now you're going to have to face that fear. Now you're going to have to face that abandonment.
Yeah.
It's so deep that's why it's important to have open and honest and truthful conversations. Because if not, the fear that you feel, you will live that. And so her adoptive parents, again, because it was in a family, they have a special opportunity to be able to mend and have a lot of controllables, in which they do have a lot of controllables because that's his daughter. So
Yeah.
they can, definitely
You can
shield
control the narrative.
and control the narrative.
Yeah.
But now that Simone is an adult, she has to get the honest truth from her mom. That
Nobody can. Yeah.
can say the words that her mom will say to her. When I met my mom, I thought the realest thing that she did was say, you know what? I'm sorry I gave you guys up. I wanted you to, be in good homes. I'm glad that you was raised well. My mom could have gave me all types of stories. I was out there. This person didn't take care of me, that person, but she was accountable. She was accountable for what happened. We can't go back. I can't change the narrative, but that was my bad.
Yeah.
That was all. And from there, I couldn't even say, well, why weren't you there? Or why did you pick this? Why did you pick drugs over us? I just had to accept that you just wasn't in a spot to raise children. And I can't hold that over your head, because you know why? I was given a second chance, per se.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of children that don't get a second chance. There are a lot of children that are thrown away. There are a lot of children that age out of the foster system. They have nowhere to go when they turn 18.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's a lot of things that you have to consider that the adoptive parents don't see from the adoptees in, because they're coming in as the savior. And some people have that savior complex where it's like, you should be grateful. And if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't have been, where you're at today.
Wow.
And that's cool. That's true. But at the end of the day, I'm hurting because
I'm still hurting. Because you could be hurting regardless of what somebody saved you from.
No matter how many medals Simone has won, she's still lost in a way that a lot of children don't lose, right?
Yeah.
And so now it's like, I'm different. There's something different about me.
Yeah.
And I have to realize that before that consumes me and takes over me. Now, thankfully, she was able to be, a gold medal Olympian, right? The best at what she does. But that a lot of times that's what that hurt does. It pushes you to continue to do better, be better, not feeling, that hurt. But at the end of the day, when you go to sleep at night, if you don't address it, it's going to still be there.
So Sean, shout out to Sean Bolden in the chat. Sean said discipline, like you saying with Simone Biles, could be an addiction of her own. So what you're saying is it's a possibility, because we don't know, that one possible reason why Simone Biles is so great is because she was adopted and she put all of her energy into her work and became the best, mainly because of this hole in her heart that made her feel like she was unworthy. So she had to prove to the world her worthiness because of how she was raised. And, she felt discarded. So let me show the world like who I actually am and see me, because my mom or whoever didn't see me when I was a child.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. When I'm not quite I'm gonna assume, and I hate to assume, but I'm gonna assume that her mom was doing drugs before she was born.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so children who have drugs in their system can grow up to be hyper, PhD, can grow up to just have a lot of relationship type of issues. And so what caseworkers encourage the parents to do, put them in a sport, keep them active. Don't let them, just be idle. That is the first things that they tell adoptive parents, especially I know with children who come out of a drug addicted home. You want them to be busy, because just like mom can go through withdrawals, the children can go through withdrawals. What mom was doing, the children are in essence doing in utero. Like, you know what I mean? And so you have to keep children like that busy. That's just what they tell you, you know?
Okay.
And it turns out for the better, because children who are in sports are better in English, math, like it develops you in different ways other than physically.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that could have been the case with her, where it's just like, you know, she said she went to a picnic and they were doing gymnastics and she, you know, just fell in love with it. You also do find that a lot of adoptees do find something that they stick to, something that's not going to leave them, something that
leave them. Oh,
right. Something that they love to do, something that they can pour their heart out to because they didn't have hearts poured, you know, to them. I'm not saying that her parents didn't love her or anything like that, because again, she was adopted with family. And so, like you said, she can see her lineage. She is in the midst of living in that lineage, but there's a generation there that if she doesn't get the closure, if she doesn't, and I don't want to say closure because her mom is still living, but if she doesn't have that conversation, there's going to be a part of her that doesn't feel whole. She's achieved the highest, you know, height of what she can achieve. Now it's time to really get to know who she is as a person,
as a human.
Like I said, I really believe that Simone Biles is going to, you know, be pregnant within the next 5 years. And I think that, again, pregnancy changes you. When you start to, you know, get in a phase of getting the baby room ready and cleaning up everything, those thoughts run through your mind. You know, her being a baby is now going to run through her mind. Her mother not doing those things that she's going to do for her son or daughter is going to run through her mind. You get it out. Whether you're talking to God, talking to the actual person, doing both, getting therapy, being able to put the pieces where they should be and not scattered everywhere that they are in your brain.
Being worthy as a mother, period.
Yeah, the better, the sooner she's able to do that, I believe the better of a pregnancy and experience she'll have, because she'll feel whole. She'll know certain things that she didn't know before. Remember, her mom said she has any questions. Adoptees always have questions. There are people who are adopted in foster care who will not talk to you. They will not tell you their story. They will not share with you. But I bet you $1 million that they have questions. They have things that bother them at night. They have things that push them to, you know, not addiction, but you got to have something to drink every single time you come home, or you got to be smoking something. You got like, that is something that if you, as an adoptee, if you don't let those things out, it'll get the best of you. And then that's how addiction starts, right? So Simone was addicted to Olympics. Simone was addicted to being the best. Well, she achieved that. So now what? Right? What happens now? It's going to go right back to the beginning, the origin story. Because she's about to have her own origin story with her
origin story. So I want to tell y'all about all the questions that I had to my father, because for those who don't know, I had a huge gap between the last time I seen my father and me seeing my father now. My father raised me between the age of 1 to like 6. And then my mom took me and moved us to Atlanta. And I did not see my father again until I was a teenager. And then it was a point where my dad just stopped calling me and I stopped calling my dad. And now that I'm older, I finally get a chance to talk to my dad, but it was a huge gap and I had a lot of questions. And I'm gonna tell you what my dad told me before. But before we get to that, let's go to a quick commercial and we'll be right back.
How about we meet up at a coffee shop and play this fun dating card game? We'll have fun and see if we're compatible all at the same time.
Ooh, what's the name of the game?
It's called Deeper Discussions.
I'm down.
Okay, meet you at 6.
Fellas, buy this card game. Ladies, buy this card game. Buy about 2 or 3 card games. The main reason why people can't stay together isn't because they don't like each other no more. It's actually because their present family issues come up or their past family issues come up. But when you play deeper discussions, you'll be able to understand a person's family issues up front.
This game can be played with either 2 people or an entire group. So have fun.
Question number 1. Name a time when money was the main factor why a relationship went bad.
Deeper discussions, dating edition. Again, these cards are good for vetting a potential boyfriend,
Candidate.
a potential girlfriend, a potential husband, a potential wife. The texture of these cards are so soft and silky, by the way. Like
They ain't gonna get
really
wore out.
durable.
A dating card game for introverts who have a hard time asking the much needed compatibility questions. Deeper Discussions, the card game.
But, I want you to hear the real deal. I was an addict. I will always be an addict. But there's just a way that you have to learn how to stay away from people, places, and things.
You're on mute.
Thank you. Hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Share this video with everybody you know, because this is about not just being adopted, but the ins and outs and the ups and downs with our dysfunctional relationships with our parents. So hit the like button and share this video.
And change your routine and just change your life. Live your best life. If I need to know anything, I'll call my dad. Hey, Dad, what's going on with Simone? How's everybody doing? He keeps me posted.
So you don't have like a direct number that you can even reach out to her?
I do, but I won't. I do, but I won't.
Why not?
I want her to reach out to me.
And you explained that, but that hit me. I was just like, yo, why don't you reach out to your kid? But, after what you said, it kind of makes sense. Because at the end of the day, that's how I felt with my kid when we fell out. And you got mad at me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, like, how is that different than my situation when I was just like, well, when she's ready, she can reach out to me and it's not a big deal. And you like, no, that's not how it works. So I know they're different, but how do you feel about those two dichotomies?
Well, Simone Biles was able to have a family protect her and love her and guide her in the absence of her mom being there. Mm-hmm. Right? And so, and your situation is a little different because you're the family. Like, you know what I mean? You're the protection. You're the, I don't know. To me, it's a little bit different because you chose to be in her life, right? Mm-hmm. So my thing is, if you chose to be there, mm-hmm. And it's not going to always be easy. It's not going to always be something that's rainbows and gumdrops, right? Mm-hmm. But you chose it. So stick with it, right? With Simone, her mom chose this addiction because she probably couldn't handle her trauma or what was going on with her. And so her family stepped in, and said, hey, we'll take in Simone and her sister, because I think there was 4 of them.
Yeah, it was 4 of them.
So, they didn't see
all the video about her other kids.
The other ones went with the great aunt. And that was the case in my case, actually. When my mom couldn't take care of us, we went with our great aunt. Yeah. And she passed away. And so when she passed away, then we had to go into foster care homes. So in Simone's case, she still has this family that is there. That's a rock for her. And so her mom is saying, well, when you're ready, reach out to me, because what validity do I have? Like, what do I have to stand on to come to you to say anything to you? I can only be a listening ear, and to explain anything that you have, any questions that you have, I can only be here to explain that. But I can't come barging into your life like I've been here all this time. Yeah. I can only be a patient person. And if you like a relationship with me, I would love that. But if that's not what you choose to do, just know that I'm going to love you anyway. I mean, again, her grandfather is her dad, but her mom is her
His wife.
daughter, right? Like, so, you know, so again, her mom is always going to be on the outskirts. When you're adopted by strangers, then it's like, oh, well, I'll just wait for her to come to me. Well, that could be impossible.
That's like, impossible because they're strangers. They don't know you.
You don't know, right? Like, I went to like websites, ancestry, DNA, like, you know, you got to go through things to actually get connected to that biological parent. But when they're already in your family, like she said, I call my dad, he lets me know. So that gives her peace of mind. But there's still an emptiness there with her because she know that she had these children and she gave them up, and now she has no relationship with them.
Gotcha.
Drugs will do something to your mind and your body that the normal person, us that don't have the addictions to that stuff, will never be able to understand what it feels like having to wake up and having to have a drug or having to have something stuck in our arm. We'll never know what that feels. I have family members who have explained it to me, you know.
But you ain't want to know how it feels, though.
I don't want to know how it feels, and I'll never know how it feels, right?
Yeah.
But that must be a struggle for them, even though we're like, oh, well, you know, you shouldn't have been on drugs, and oh, it's easy to not make that decision. Well, once you made the decision and it got a hold on you, because some people will take that one hit and it changes their life forever. Some people go crazy. Like, you don't know what you're doing with this stuff out here in the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the fact that her mom seems like she's in her right mind, her mom seems as though she wants a relationship with her daughter. Again, I believe this is a perfect time for the family, the father, the mother, Simone, to have their conversation that they're going to have, but for them to really humble themselves and be like, you know what, we've been blessed. Like, we couldn't even act, we can't even ask for anything better. So, you know, nobody say you got to financially take care of this woman. Nobody say you got to throw her money. It ain't even about that. It's about the intimacy of a relationship between a mother and a daughter. Take the money out of it. And I know it's hard for people to do that. I know it's hard for people like, what? She got all this money. Of course she's going to want to come back now. No, that's her daughter. She pushed her to her cooch. Like, y'all, you wouldn't understand that if you've never had a child. You wouldn't understand that if you're not a parent, right? You just wouldn't understand it. But that primal wound, that's what it's called. Look it up. Primal
wound. Okay.
That's what that is. When you don't have that closure, those conversations, things of that nature, that wound will always be open.
Okay. All right.
Always be an open wound.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll talk about my dad, but I want to go a little farther than this, and then we're going to talk about that.
You know, she's 27 now. She's married. I would like to have been a part of that, but I just have to wait for her.
Simone Biles made history at the 2024 Paris Olympics before she was tied at #1 with Shannon.
And shout out to Pink Book Lessons. I love her channel. Shout out to Pink Book Lessons.
Miller, a legendary American gymnast from the 90s. They both had 7 Olympic medals. Simone broke that tie recently. Now she's a sole #1 record holder with the most Olympic medals in gymnast history. While Simone was celebrating her accomplishments with her family, her husband, her mother and father, one person crawled out from under the Save-A-Lot in Ohio. That's Sharon Biles, Simone's biological mother. It's been over 2 decades since she abandoned Simone. Nearly a quarter of a century ago, she abandoned 4 kids, Simone, her 2 sisters, and her brother. Now the biological mother somehow found her way in Simone's spotlight. Simone is obviously not interested in dealing with her biological parents. In her eyes, her father is her granddad and his wife is her mother. They adopted her after her biological mom left her in foster care. And instead of respecting Simone's wishes, you have people like Ricky Smiley saying Simone should be grateful that she's got a biological mother.
So before I get to Ricky Smiley, because I got so many problems with Ricky Smiley, I'm so sick of this freaking dude. Ricky Smiley is a perfect example of why men need fathers. Ricky Smiley, as he's going to talk about, he was raised by his grandmother, and that's the reason why he's so soft and feeble and feminine and effeminate now. And everybody knows Ricky Smiley loves to dress up like a woman. And in virtually every time he's on stage, and virtually every time he's in a movie, he's never himself. Never himself. He's always a woman. And this is what happens with a lot of young men who grow up under women. And that's the reason why I'm so against single motherhood. But he was raised by his grandmother, which makes it to a certain degree worse or better. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes the mother's mother can actually teach you, raise you better than your own mom, because sometimes your mom just out in the streets, she's doing all kinds of stupid shit. She don't know what she's doing. She's too young. And their mother's mother can actually, raise you with more stability. You know what I'm saying? But altogether, being raised by a woman, period, whether grandmother or mother, is always a detriment to a young man. So we're going to talk about what Ricky Smiley is talking about in a second. But I wanted to share what happened with me and my father. So I would say at the age of 17, 18. It was the last time I talked to my dad. I went out to Philly, seeing my dad, because my dad was in Philly and I was in Atlanta, and I literally never really seen him. So I would fly, he would fly me out to spend time with him. And then I come home, and after just realizing and talking to my dad, I realized what actually happened, because it almost happened again after me and him are talking now. My dad is an asshole. And I'm an asshole, and we're somewhat the same type of people. So the same thing with me, and the same thing with Simone Biles' mom. When I came home, the last time I seen him as a child, he didn't call and check on me to see if I made it home okay or whatever, right? So I'm just living my life, and then he calls my mom's, house phone. And it's like, and I'm talking to him. He's like, hey, you ain't even call me to let me know you made it back home. You didn't call me. Da, da, da. You don't even know I was sick. And da, 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 And I'm like, I'm the kid. Why do I supposed to be calling you? Don't you supposed to be calling me? Like, what are you talking about? Right. And apparently, I don't remember what was said after that, but we both hung up like, fuck you, and it was kind of like that. But my narrative in my head was like, my dad abandoned me all over again. Even though he never abandoned me, my mom abandoned my dad, right? So as a kid, you have so many different narratives where you don't know what is true and what is not true. One, my dad never abandoned me. My mom abandoned my dad. Two, he could have made a way better effort to see me, spend time with me, and all these other things. Yes, but he went to the service. So he was in the military, and then my mom and I was so displaced, we was all over the place. I talked about how me and my mom was homeless. I talked about how me and my mom lived in Alexandria, Virginia. We lived in Syracuse, New York. We lived in Raleigh, North Carolina. And then when we were in Atlanta, we were homeless. We lived with my aunt at one time. We lived in a group home at one time. And then we were living in the hood. So I can understand that my dad was like, man, what the hell is this woman doing? I don't know what the hell is going on. So he just not gave up. Like, it's whatever. I got shit to do. I got my own life and all this other shit going on. And he was a musician. So not only was he traveling with the military, but when he wasn't with the military, he's traveling as a recording artist. And then me and my mom doing all this crazy shit, right? So the narrative can get warped, right? So as my dad is frustrated with my mom because she's running around, just can't even find her ass, because back in the day, there was no cell phones, it was house phones. Right. So you can't even call somebody, without a payphone back in the day. So, you know what, my mom got a beeper? No, my mom didn't have no damn beeper. So he couldn't even figure out where the hell my mom was, you know? So that's one thing. And then now, because I recently talked to my dad like last year for the first time as an adult, and I had a lot of questions, right? And then this is when the narrative comes in, you know, my narrative, my mom's narrative, and his narrative, and then the truth, right? So I'm talking to him like, yo, I gotta ask you, like, why weren't you there? And he was like, where? And I was like, what do you mean there? Where? You weren't anywhere. You were in Virginia. You were in North Carolina. You was in Syracuse. You was in Atlanta. Then you was over here. Your mom had you all these places. I look up your ass over here. How do I be there for you when your mom took you from me? And I'm like, ooh. Imagine you having a woman and you, because you know I got 2 daughters. Imagine your wife or ex-wife turns around after y'all split up. She moves to Virginia, and then there's no cell phones. And then you talk to her, you talk to your kids, hey, and next thing you talk to her again, you're in Nova Scotia, some other damn place.
Right.
And then next thing you know, yeah, hey, why y'all move to Nova Scotia? What the hell is next thing you know, y'all move to Alaska. And next thing you know, why y'all in Alaska? And next thing you know, you go to you know, the military, and then you're not even around on a phone to call anybody, period. How would you feel? And then for your kid to wake up one day and say, why weren't you there for me? I don't even know where the hell are you at?
Right.
And then I'm like, damn. So I was angry towards you for so many years, and you was angry towards my mother for so many years, you know? So I agree with you where it's important for Simone Biles and her mom to actually sit down, because I'm quite sure the narratives are totally different and they're not meshed up right. And once they sit down and have a conversation, the narratives can be like woven back together, where, because there's a possibility, just like you said, no matter who the adoptive parent is, they want you to themselves. They don't want you to reach out to the biological mother, because they can feel a certain amount of abandonment. That's what we doing? You finna go back to your crackhead mama after she don't abandon you? Just leave us, right?
That's exactly it.
Yeah, so you could turn around as the adoptive parent with the ego, like, no, she don't deserve to see you. She don't deserve to talk to you. How dare you want to talk to this woman? Yeah. And as an adoptee, you like, but that's still my mom, right?
Yeah. You know, it took a loss for that situation to happen, right? But nobody wants to address the loss. It's just like I said, you would have thought I was born at the age of 8 when I got adopted, and I had been
they want to hear that shit.
3 or 4 foster homes before I got adopted. So I had been through a lot of different family dynamics, and then getting adopted. Honestly, I feel like, getting adopted is like you marrying older people. That's what that is. You're literally marrying older people. In my case, I was 8, but some people are babies. Yeah. Like, Simone was young.
Like you married your parents.
Right. Yeah. You have to get, and again, my adoptive parents were strangers. This is her family. She knows who her grandfather is. She may have had some estranged time away from him because she was in foster care and then he stepped up. But she know, her family. And it's crazy because that a lot of adopted kids don't want to connect with their biological parent. Again, it's not connecting with them so you can, give them this satisfaction, right? Because a lot of people are like, well, why would she want to reconnect with her mom? And
that's what Ricky Smiley is about to talk about.
Go ahead. But there are things you just, even in a lot of communication is nonverbal. You'll even see how similar you are to someone you've never been in close proximity to.
That's how I felt about my dad. Yeah.
Yes, you'll see, so there are certain things where it's like, oh, snap. That's where I get that from, or that's why I do that, or that's where this stems from. Because again, when it's strangers, I can't really say I get anything from you but what you have poured into me.
Yeah.
There's no natural,
there's no osmosis.
Similarities with us. It's only what you have poured into me is what I'm going to regurgitate out. That's it, that's all. And then if you don't have a connection with them, again, it's like a marriage. It's like I have to get to learn to love these strangers. I have to get to learn to love who they are. And with Simone, it's like, okay, this is my family. But I wanted to point out that Simone's mom, like she says, she calls the dad to see how everyone is doing, right? My only thing with Simone's mom is that, why is it just Simone? Child, you got 4 children. Why are you not talking about the other children?
That's my whole point.
My only thing is like, okay, so Simone's not the only child that you gave up. So that's why it makes me wonder.
She out for some money.
Motive is right, because if you want to connect with Simone, that should mean you should want to connect with your boys and your girls, like all the children that you had that you gave up, the ones that are with your great aunt, if they're still there. I think that Simone probably will come out with something where it dives deeper. She does have a Netflix show right now, but I and because Simone has the name, that's what's going to get the noise. I just hope that it's more than just she's wanting to reach out to her other children as well. Because Simone is not even the oldest, I don't think. I think her sister that was adopted with her is older than her, I want to say. Like, I'm the oldest.
And that's my actual issue with this whole situation. I wish my dad would have seen me on YouTube or whatever, and instead of reaching out to me, he goes on some interview and says, so what do you think about your son? And he's over there like, yeah, he needs to reach out to me, da 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 da. And then guess what? I actually have a sister. So I didn't know this until last year. I just found out I had a sister, right? And he's doing a video about me and don't say nothing about my estranged sister also, because he wasn't, but that was her mother. So think about this with my dad. Both of his baby mamas took their kids away from him. But for him to, if for me to imagine him doing an interview instead of reaching out to me, you know what I'm saying? Because the interview essentially is her reaching out to Simone Biles instead of calling her. So to me, it's a slap in the face to Simone Biles, because the thing about it is this woman is over here trying to act like she's the victim, like, my daughter won't reach out to me. No, bitch, like, you reach out to her.
Well, she was reaching out to the father. So my thing is, has she ever
different?
Has she ever asked to talk to Simone? Is Simone rejecting this communication with her because she has her number? Well, she says she won't use it, but she's talked to the father. My thing is, the father made it clear that he wanted her to stay away. And she's only been clean for 2 years. So
I didn't know that. Okay.
The father said for 6 years she had to stay away while they got acclimated to the adopted life. However, her drug addiction went past those 6 years, and she's only been recently currently 2 years sober. And so it's her own fault that she wasn't in communication with Simone. But now that she has gotten to a point where she's able to not want to wake up and do drugs, she's like, okay, I'm leaving the ball in her court, in which that's understandable to me, because again, there's a lot of shame and guilt that comes with, how the heck did I let a drug consume me, and not, why did I want to reach out for the drug first thing in the morning and not my child? The drug is something that eased the pain that your child couldn't ease for you. And that's again from trauma and getting to know what's going on in her family unit. While her grandfather adopted her, I'm gonna honestly say that her grandfather is not innocent in all of this. Yes, he may have been the person to take Simone in and adopt her and show her love and guidance, but there was something lacking there that maybe he has gotten help for, and maybe he has become one with. But he don't get a pass for me because a lot of things stem from your home, and that was
your ego
daughter, right? So there was something there that he's probably made amends with in his own life and said, you know what, it is what it is. I'm just gonna, go on and forward with my life, and that includes raising my grandchild. But I don't give him a pass when it comes to what happened to his daughter, because that's your daughter. So you got some explaining to do. What happened? That's what I want to know. What happened before we can even get to Simone? What happened here?
What happened
with her mom? Like, what was your relationship like? Why did your daughter feel like she had to go to drugs? Was there, again, my mom was a drug addict, but her mom had issues abusing drug and alcohol. So there was something in the family unit in the home that she grew up in that wasn't able to be sufficient enough for her to be healthy.
Right. So let me say this, and this is a good plug for my card game. So something I want y'all to think about. Everything that we're talking about is not just Simone Biles that is going through all these things. It's not just Simone Biles' father that is going through these things. It's not just Simone Biles' mother that is going through these things. Your mother is going through some of these things also. The guy that you're dating's mother is going through some of these things. The woman that you're dating's mother is going through some of these things. Some of y'all may not realize that in almost, I would say most Black women, not all, but most Black women have tumultuous relationships with their own mother. And the reason why I'm talking about this today and bringing this up right now is because my Deeper Discussions card game actually helps you understand your relationship with your own mother, your relationship with the persons that you're dating's mother, because that's the thing. A lot of times we get with each other and we just like each other and we get attached to the other person simply because, like, is lust, or we're tired of being lonely, or we really like the other person. But the one thing that we never really get an understanding of is the other person's life before they met you. That's the most important thing that you have to pay attention to when you're dating a person, because their relationship with their mother, if it's tumultuous, if it was overbearing, because some men, as an example, their mother was just all in their faces, and the man is now a mama's boy, and because their mother was so engulfing in his life, he's now looking for a woman to serve as his mother instead of him serving as her provider. So next thing you know, he's out here looking for a provider instead of him being a provider because of his relationship with his mother. But you as a woman may not know that because y'all hanging out, y'all having sex, y'all doing these other things. But in the background, he's viewing you as his mother and you don't even know it. But if you actually played this card game, and it's only $28, my Deeper Discussions card game, there are questions in this card game that would help you understand how the person that you're dating, male or female, their relationship with their parents, their relationship with their mother. Because like we're talking about, Simone Biles, her relationship with her mother possibly is the reason why she's so great at being this Olympic gymnast. But what if her husband is dealing with a certain amount of emotional irregularity, or she's emotionally unavailable with her husband due to what she went through with her mother? All of us, not just Simone Biles, have irregular or problematic relationships with our parents. And that parent-son or parent-daughter dynamic affects our romantic relationships. And if you don't get to the bottom of your dynamic with your parents and your boyfriend or girlfriend's relationship or dynamic with their parents, you and that person are going to have a terrible relationship. And if y'all get married or y'all have a baby together, most likely something is going to go wrong because you did not do your homework in finding out that other person's dynamic with their parents, because that is their childhood trauma. So if you need to understand more about another person's relationship with their parents so you can understand their relationship with you, it will behoove you to buy my Deeper Discussions card game. 4 people have already bought it since we've been on this show. Let's get to at least 10 people, 10 more people. Let's make it even 20. Let's make it 15 people, 15 more people watching to buy my Deeper Discussions card game. Because like I said, the pathology, which is, you know, the lineage between you and your mother and the lineage between the other person and their mother is so important you won't believe it. The reason why you single now is mainly because of your issues that you have or had with your mother. The same thing with the other person that you're meeting and why they're single. Why didn't their relationships work out before you? Because of their relationship with their mother. And my Deep Discussions card game will help you understand their relationship with their mother and your relationship with yours. I actually played this card game with my kids, and I was able to learn more about my relationship with my kids versus my relationship with my mother, how it affected how I raised my kids. Forget about their mom, the relationship I had with my kids. That's how deep and important my Deeper Discussions card game is for everybody. So the link is under this video. The link is hovering right around here. If you're watching pre-recorded, make sure to buy this Deep Discussions card game. It will be the most important, most integral $28 that you've ever spent in your life. So let's get back to the show. And real quick, Precious, do you think everything I just said has anything to do with how we grew up, or was I just talking? What do you think about what I just said?
It definitely has everything to do with how we grow up. Mm-hmm. When again, the adoptive parents, we can only put out what is poured into us.
Yeah.
But our biological nature, you know, comes from our parents. It does. Yeah. And so your nature, you have to get in touch with your nature and who you are as a person. Are you kind? Are you considerate? Are you, you know, those things come from your biological nature.
Yeah.
That's from your parents. And if you don't, you know, get to the nitty gritty, have those conversations, ask those questions, it's going to be hard for you to have relationships. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be very difficult because you're not going to know your voice. You're not going to know where you are in the midst of things. And you always want to know where you stand with yourself and with other people.
I love how you said the person's biological nature needs to be understood. Mm-hmm. That right, I couldn't have said it any way better than that. So my Deep Discussions card game would help you understand your mates or your potential mates' biological nature. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't understand their parents' way of raising the person that's in front of you, you're not going to understand the person that's in front of you. 1000%. I totally agree with that. All right, so let's listen to this clown, Ricky Smiley, and see what he has to say.
I can definitely understand that.
And everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. Share this video. Hit the like button and share this video, y'all.
You know, One thing, I went through the same thing. I wasn't given away, but I was raised by my grandparents. My mom went through the same thing. And the best thing my mom did was made one of the greatest decisions of putting me with my grandparents who, they're the reason as to who I am today. And instead of taking your child, keeping your child with you and taking them through that, because she protected her from all of that stuff.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
So what he lied about is, let me back this up a little bit. Listen to what he lied about. This is why Ricky Smiley is a clown.
And instead of taking your child, keeping your child with you and taking them through that, because she protected her from all of that stuff.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
Simone's biological mother did not protect her, nor did she protect her sisters and her brother. They ended up in foster care. That's not protecting your child. That's placing your babies in a horrible situation at a vulnerable state. The person who saved them from foster care is her dad.
So what does foster care look like? And do you think her mother protected her by sending her to foster care? What do you think about what Ricky Smiley said?
Well, foster care, I can't really say that she was protected by going to foster care. You know, her children were taken from her. When you have children and you are an addict and it is known that you are an addict, then the state gets involved. Mm-hmm. They get involved. And so they take your children from you. Now, they could take your children from you for just a short amount of time, temporarily. But if you do not get better, if you do not improve, then your children are taken from you permanently. And then that's when adoption comes in. So foster care is supposed to be temporary. Foster care is supposed to be a place where, okay, maybe your mom is going through issues, financial issues and things of that nature. She may have a drug issue and she's working and she has a caseworker and she has a homemaker and she has someone that's coming in and checking her status and making sure she's going to her meetings and making sure that, you know, she has enough food in the house, all those things. Well, when you abide by the rules and you just want to do what you want to do and you want to still be addicted and things of that nature, then the state says, you know what, we're going to have to take away your children for good. And now they're going to be adopted. Now they may go through a series of foster care homes until they're adopted, because it's, you know, people have to choose to adopt you. You don't just get placed in a home. Yeah, that's what foster care is. Foster care is like emergency housing for children. And emergency housing can turn into long-term housing, but then that long-term housing can turn into no housing, because like I said, you can age out of the foster care system and then you're just out on your own. They just say, okay, you're out in the world now. As far as Ricky Smiley, the best thing for the child is to not be with someone who has drug abuse problems. That is the best thing for the child. Okay. Again, it's not protection for the child, because it is protecting the child, but that is an involuntary decision. Okay. So you don't just, some people may just say, hey, I want to give my kids up for foster care, but there has to be a reason. It's not, you just have these kids and I want to put them in foster care. There has to be a reason where you cannot take care of them. And so they are taken from you. Now it's the job of whoever has the children to protect them. Right. The job of whoever is raising the children to guide them in the right way. But it's not the parent who has the children taken away from them that is protecting the child.
So Ricky Smiley is a clown.
Yeah, that's not the parents aren't protecting the children in that manner. The parents are losing their children. That's what's happening. You're losing your children.
Okay. All right, let's keep going.
The person who saved him from foster care is her dad. The person who saved him from foster care is her dad. So yeah, they had a better life as a result of having their granddad they call father and their grandmother.
I gotta say they and not just her. She has the prettiest freaking smile.
Very pretty.
Like her smile, like, you know, when I'm looking up pictures of her to put together the thumbnail, I'm like, she has the most genuine, like it looks like she's really happy.
Yeah, it's funny. I was doing a show on one of my men's panels and they were talking about adoption, and someone was like, "You don't look like you've been adopted." And I'm like, "Well, what is that supposed to look like? Like, what is
how you smile?
Look like I'm run down and just like giving
Yeah.
up life? Like, what exactly does that look like? You know?" And there's
Mhm.
a lot of people that you will find that was adopted and you would never know.
Mhm.
Because it's not something that, you know, has a look per se, but it does have a feeling. It does have an aura. It does have something behind those eyes and
It's a feeling
behind.
of gratitude that just speaks to me when I see your smile and her smile. It's a different type of look where you just like, you know, instead of it's totally different. So yeah, I get it.
The
Well,
person the girls call.
Go ahead.
We always have an attitude also of it could have been worse. Like you look at your situation and it's like it could have been worse. And so you really do become grateful for the circumstances, although they're not the circumstances that you would have want to have been in. And you really realize that you have no control over your life.
Yeah.
Until you have control over your life. Like, you know what I mean? You have no control over what's going on and you have all these questions. It's almost like you're in a whirlwind and things are spinning around you until you become of age and of understanding to realize what is truly going on.
Right. Yeah.
Call their mother. You're up here giving the biological mom credit for something she didn't do. You're up here giving the biological mom credit for something she didn't do.
Exactly. And that's the reason why I say Ricky Smile is a clown. He just these pandering ass people just make me sick.
She failed her children. The praise should be reserved for the grandparents that stepped in, not the biological parent that abandoned them.
And there's some of the things that come with illness. I'm sure she don't want anything, but I'm sure it.
Now he wants to say is an illness. No, it's an addiction. And I don't like saying an addiction is an illness. It's a choice. Because just like you had said earlier about I couldn't imagine waking up every day wanting to smoke crack or do a drug, right? Well, it's a choice. Because just like as an example, when you said that, I was going to interject and say it's kind of like the feeling of eating, right? And I can just only talk about what I study because I don't know, right? So waking up feeling this need to have a drink or feeling this need to smoke crack or smoke some weed or whatever is to a certain degree, because I don't know, it's somewhat the same feeling of you wake up and you want to eat breakfast, right?
No, because it's funny. I don't even wake up and eat breakfast.
That's what I'm about to say. That's what I'm about to say. Because the thing about it is, it's a choice to eat breakfast. Because guess what? I only eat one time a day.
Yeah.
I only eat one time a day right now. And for anybody who are used to watching me, y'all already know. Sometimes I'll leave my live stream and be like, all right, I'm finna go eat for the first time. And it'd be like 4 o'clock. Put a 1 in the chat if you've ever heard me say that I haven't eaten yet and I'm about to go eat for the first time and it'd be like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. Put a 1 in the chat if you heard me say that. So an addiction is not a disease. It's a choice. So it's just, you ain't got to pee the second you feel the need to pee. You can wait 2 hours to go pee. You got to go pee, but you ain't got to jump up and go do something, whatever. So these are choices. And I'm not saying peeing is a choice, but when you pee is a choice. But when you eat is a choice. You don't have to eat in a 24-hour period. It's a choice to go eat. It's a choice to have sex. It's a choice to smoke weed. It's a choice to have a drink. It's a choice to smoke crack or whatever. These are choices.
Yeah.
So it depends on your level of discipline. So no, it is not a disease when you have an addiction. It's a goddamn choice. because I am making a choice to only eat one time a day, because I'm learning that eating is a part of the addiction, just like smoking drugs is. All this shit is an addiction. Love is an addiction. You know, the sucker for love people, they go in the strip club and they, oh my God, you know what? I'm gonna take you out of here and change your life. Why? Because your addiction, you're addicted to saving people. But you don't realize that you have an addiction to saving some goddamn people. It's a choice to get with an unsavory woman or unsavory man because you want to save them and shit. That's an addiction. So all this shit is a choice. So I just wanted to say that, but go ahead. You was about to say something?
No.
Oh, okay. But yeah, man, we got to stop with all this, oh, it's a disease and you're a victim. No. Like, black people spend so much energy trying to make themselves look like a victim of some shit. No, all of these things are choices.
It'd be a good opportunity to answer questions and to get to know each other or whatever, because I'm not sure if it's about money or anything like that, but
Biological mother, she is struggling. She's working at a grocery store in Ohio, living in the hood. Her whole financial situation was exposed in the article. And again, like I said before, I believe that was a tactic. It's a tactic to make people feel sorry for her and question Simone on why she won't help her biological mother.
Hence what you said earlier about why isn't she reaching out to her other 3 freaking kids? Why is she doing interviews about Simone Biles? Because she knows that this interview is going to get some clicks, and the interviewer probably paid her some money, you know what I'm saying? Because she needed the money, and she's hoping that Simone Biles, see, the thing about it is, if she reaches out to Simone Biles, she can't guilt trip Simone. But if she does this interview, she can call Simone Biles to be like, or have other people like, yo, why don't you reach out to your mom? And next thing you know, she reaches out to her mom. Now it's like, why don't you take care of your mom? And it turns into a snowball effect of, now I'm stuck with this damn lady. Now I got to pay her bills and do all this other shit because all these people don't guilt trip me. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think that people who are adopted are pretty headstrong, only because we're in our heads a lot.
Adopted people or people who
adopted people. So I don't think that Simone will be tricked or deceived or talked into taking care of her mom. I don't think that money should even be a part of the conversation. You working at a grocery store, keep working at a grocery store. I learned my discipline, you need to learn yours. Like, you know, that's how we think, because it's almost like getting it out the mud, right? Like,
you got it out the mud.
Right. So we're not going to make it easy for you, not because of what you've done to us, but because just as people, period, this is how you grow your discipline. This is how you get better. But I don't think that she'll be, I don't think that she should or would be swayed to take care of her mom just because of her financial situation. Her mom was a drug addict. No, her mom needs to learn those things. She needs to learn to work at a grocery store and how to open and close and take care of people. Like, she needs to learn that type of daily routine, because that will keep her mind away from
the drugs.
However, a drug addict, again, it's very
triggering.
Not even triggering, but you move more so on you know, if the money's not coming quick enough for her, she can't wait 2 weeks to get paid, like, you know what I mean? That may trigger her to go back to doing whatever she was doing to get the money, because a drug addict will do any and everything that they need to do to get that next hit. Things that we wouldn't even dare to do, cross, swim, like things that we wouldn't even want to be paid to do. Like, they will do anything. So her mom doesn't need.
Wait, Precious. I want you to think about this. Isn't that an oxymoron?
What do you mean?
For her to only be working at a grocery store and be living in the hood and she can't do this and she can't do that, and she's not doing drugs right now. Let's say she's been clean for 2 years, right? And she's doing these interviews to hope Simone Biles goes out and helps her, right? And she's broke and destitute. Isn't the most ambitious person on the planet a crackhead?
Yeah,
Wouldn't
but
the ones that get it and go, do, like you said, do whatever is possible to get out the hood, because they'll do whatever is possible to get some crack.
Not ambitious in the way that we would think, right? So ambition for us, we're thinking about the long game. Ambition for them is a very short game. It's a day by day game. Okay. It's not, let me put in this hard work, sweat and tears,
get
and
my credit back.
In 3 years, I'm gonna be good. Let me just grind it out. No, it's by the end of today, I better have $27.15. Like that's their ambition, right? Like it's not like our ambition. So unfortunately, hopefully she doesn't fall back into the pattern of I'm not getting it fast enough, so let me just do what I know to get it the way that I know how to get it. Simone Biles does not need to come in there to save the day for her mom. Mm-hmm. Simone Biles just needs to come in there and ask her mom some questions to understand how and why she got to the point that she is at. Simone Biles also needs to set those boundaries, because if she don't, drug addicts are very cunning, conniving, very savvy, very, they almost got that pimp type of talk, like, so Simone needs to, and of course, I'm pretty sure that her parents probably prompted her on all of this. Mm-hmm. But Simone just needs to, again, like I said, this would be a perfect time for her to just humble her heart and just say, you know what, let me learn a little bit about my mom.
Yeah.
So let me just, learn a little bit about her. So I know that if she was to die tomorrow and I never saw her again and never heard from her again and never got the opportunity to, at least I would know some answers to these questions. But then again, Simone may not want to go down that route, and no one can force her. That's the thing. When you're adopted, foster care, all that stuff, I chose to go seeking after my parents and didn't even know what was going to be on the other side. You don't know what's going to be on the other side of someone who abandoned you.
Because what if mom is toxic as hell, and like if you look at her, like she looks like she's toxic.
Nah, she got that sinking face. She got that, she don't look as bad as some of them that I've seen.
Woe is me. Why you need to call your mama? I got all these issues and you don't even care about me. She looks like that toxic mama.
And the good thing about Simone is that she don't have to deal with her mom. See, there are some people
telling her she needs to go deal with her.
There are some people who don't have a choice. They're born into that toxicity. Their mom don't have no drug problem, but they still toxic. Yeah. Like
you're telling her she needs to go talk to her. What if she's just so toxic where you're like, yo, I just don't want that in my life. Everything's going well. Like,
well, then she'll know that. See, there are. I have a tattoo on my foot, and it's a puzzle piece. Mm-hmm. There are pieces of our lives that we'll never know. There's information about my life that I'll never know.
Yeah.
But if there's something that I want to know, I'm going to go seek the answers. Mm-hmm. Because I don't want to feel like I don't know that.
Yeah.
So like I said, there are a lot of things that I'll never know about my life. Yeah. So if Simone chooses, then yes, I think that she should do it. But I don't think that she should be forced to do it. I don't think that she has to have this conversation. I'm just saying in the totality of things and the wholeness of everything, if you're going to become a mother and things of that nature, there are going to be questions that you have about your own mother, not the people that raised you and took you in and, didn't have these issues.
Yeah.
There are going to be things that, as mother to daughter, you can't talk to with grandma, who's really your mom. Like, you know what I mean? That's your grandmother, really, for real.
Yeah.
But your mother, who has gone through these things, and that's literally, that's your direct lineage. there may be questions that she has, where were you all this time? Where were you when I was here? Those are just questions that you just naturally have. Will she ever get it out to, ask her those questions? That's up to Simone.
Okay. I understand that.
The media is being used to shame Simone and manipulate her into supporting her.
That was smart of her mother to put her in a space so she could be the person who she is, because had she not, she could have been in some real dangerous and bad situations.
Yeah.
There you go.
For sure. Yeah.
Again, he's making up a whole story that's not true. It's very easy to research Simone's story. You'll see that her biological mom did leave her children in a horrible situation. They ended up in foster care, and even when she had them, she neglected them. The beginning of Simone's story is very sad, but at the end of the day, I have to say I'm very proud of what she's accomplished, but her biological parents had nothing to do with it. It was her granddaddy who saved her and placed her and her younger sister in gymnastics.
I really feel bad for the mother, and I hope that in her
You see how he's just all about, I feel bad for the mother, but he don't feel bad for the damn girl that was put in foster care and separated from her own goddamn siblings and didn't grow up with her biological mom. Like, what is wrong with this nigga?
that she would understand or whatever,
He literally thinks like a woman.
I'm sure she's not asking for anything, but like she said, if she have any questions, anything she want to talk about or whatever, and that'd be good closure for her.
He said he felt bad for Sharon Biles as if she's the victim, but not Simone Biles or the 3 other children she abandoned to run the streets. How was the birth mother the victim and not those 4 kids? You would think you would have sympathy for Simone, for what she went through. She was a child in this situation. How can you not feel for her? She didn't ask to be here, but she succeeded anyway, despite how it all started out. He's talking about closure. Who said Simone didn't already have closure? The person feeling some type of way is the one still living in the hood in Ohio, doing interviews, talking about a person who just worked extremely hard to outperform every other competitor in the world. Her mom is in her life. In her mind, the person she's blessed to have is her granddaddy that saved and raised her.
Like
Ricky Smiley is a black woman, 1000%. Ricky Smiley is a black woman. I think Ricky Smiley was born a woman and he had a sex change.
Myself, my mom been clean in over 35 years, and I'm real proud of my mom. And she put us in a position to be the best. My sister and I, is only 2 of us. We are both successful, and we don't hold no grudge.
You see that, right? He said successful because he was born a woman. He had a sex change.
There's no judgment over here.
Ricky is basically saying he forgave his base mama, so Simone should forgive hers. Here's the problem. No one can shame and guilt Simone into doing anything. Not Ricky, no one on social media, no news organization printing these stories. It's all up to one person, and that person is Simone.
I've had my war. Like, I'm quite sure everybody listening to.
All right, y'all. So now we're going to have a conversation about Kirk Franklin, because if y'all think this Simone Biles conversation was deep, this right here is 1000% deeper. But one of the things you're going to see is the same mother problem, but you say it may not be a mother problem. It may be the adopted parent problem. So we're going to talk about this, but I need y'all to 1, hit the like button, 2, contribute to the channel. Cash App is $AARON 1000. Contribute to the channel if this is helpful. And 3, make sure to share this video. Facebook, everybody watching on Facebook, I need y'all to hit the share button and say shared in the chat right now. Hit the share button and say shared in the chat. So if y'all know anything about Kirk Franklin, he was also adopted also, right, Precious?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to play a little bit of this and we're going to talk about it, because this right here is absolutely crazy. Hit a like button, y'all. Share this video.
News organization printing these stories. It's all up to one person, and that person is Simone.
I've had my war. Like, I'm quite sure everybody listening to me, if you've never had anything you were like, God, why you take my mama? God, why you do this? Of course. If you've never had a war with God, you ain't never had no relationship with God. Right. Because if you got a relationship with God, you've had some wars with it. Of course, there have been questions. Yes, sir. I don't know if you're aware of this recent situation of me finding the same thing about my father this year. I was going to go there. Up until...
Shout out to Club Shay shout out to Club Shay Shay and Shannon Sharp.
This year, I hadn't talked to Deborah I haven't seen talk to Deborah in over 23 years. At a funeral this year that was had at a church. And at that funeral, when he said that, everybody looks at him and says, you know that's Kirk Franklin's biological mother. And he's like, oh, no. And they were like, do you know Kirk Franklin? He's like, yeah, I've heard the name.
So Noah says, if Simone was a dude, everybody would say, forgive her. That's still your mama. You only got one. Well, we're looking at a dude that lived somewhat the same life as Simone. So we're going to see what it looks like for a dude to go through what Simone did. And that's the reason why we're doing both of these videos, to show you the differences and similarities of adopted males and adopted females. But anything you want to say before we keep going?
Nope.
Okay.
And so now they're looking at him, his height, his ears, his hands. Eat his beard. A little bit more. All right, right there.
Yo, why he doing him like that?
Yeah. So he now is being observed by everybody. And so now the rumor mill starts to happen. Deborah finds my number. I have a Google number.
Deborah is his biological mother, and he calls her Deborah because she's never been there for him.
And Deborah finds that Google number from somebody, leaves a message. I hadn't heard her voice in 23 years, traumatized by her voice.
So remember we talk about the similarities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Deborah has not been around or there for Kirk Franklin in 23 years. Shannon, Simone Biles' mom, has not been there for Simone Biles in 24 years.
Mm-hmm.
Similarities.
He said, hey, this is Deborah. I want you to know that I hear about the rumor that's being spread around. Rick is not your father. You know who your father was. He died. And I'm not going to let that be a lie that they tell you. Mr. Rick, because of the commotion on his own, he gets swabbed. So as I got swabbed, and
he's your dad.
He's my father.
Why do women do this? Because I already know why his mom is doing this, because she don't want to look like a hoe. She don't want to look like the woman that I would say half of the single mothers out there are. She didn't know if this was the dad or not. She just picked one of the niggas that she was fucking.
Mm-hmm.
Most women are sleeping with, if she's not in a relationship and she's been single for a while, she's sleeping with two different dudes. Probably not in the same week, but there's overlap. And when you end up pregnant, you don't know who the dad is, or you may not know who the dad is, depending on what the overlap is. And in a lot of cases, you're going to pick the guy that actually is excited that you're pregnant. Because the other nigga going to be like, what? It ain't mine. Because, you know, one of the niggas is probably a pookie or broke or dumb or in the streets or whatever. And you're like, oh, hell no. I know I ain't for hell no. So I'm going to go to John instead of Jimmy, because Jimmy is an idiot. Mm-hmm. So a lot of us, my dad might not even be my dad. I don't know. You know, I don't know. You know?
Ancestry. I tell everybody now to get on Ancestry.
But does that actually say it? I don't know. What exactly would that be? Like, what you mean? Is that some or what?
It will. Well, Ancestry, you give a saliva sample to them.
Oh, okay.
Spell it off.
Mm-hmm.
So any and everyone that you're related to that's on Ancestry will come up in your matches.
Mm-hmm. In Alabama, they have something called ancestry. What is that? Okay, sorry.
That's when they could keep it all in the family. Everybody, it's everybody.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But yeah, it was like she was trying to tell him that other people were lying to him when she was lying to him the whole time. See, at least Simone Biles' mom said, you know what, I'm gonna just stay back. I'm gonna wait for her to come to me.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk Franklin's mom did him dirty. It was just like she was lying to him. She was reaching out to him. It's not like he had to, but because of the lies, it's like, how can I build a relationship with you and you lying to me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, that will definitely turn you off from a biological parent more than it would make you, you know, more intrigued to get to know who they are. Because again, that nature, the nature of who you are is coming through. And now Kirk Franklin, you know, Kirk Franklin went through sex addiction, you know, porn addiction and things of that nature. The nature of who his mom is has had to show up in who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got to flush.
He is a pastor.
Huh?
He is a pastor.
Kirk Franklin not a pastor.
What is he? He ain't no pastor.
He's a recording, singing artist, producer.
Oh, he never was a pastor. Oh, I didn't know.
No,
that.
I don't think Kirk Franklin.
Okay. Well, shout out to him for not being a pastor because pastors are trash. But go ahead.
But you know, he's not a pastor, but he's a person. Nobody's perfect. Like, you know what I mean? And so the nature of who his mom is a nature that lives in him too. So those are the things that you fight with unconsciously, not even having that confirmation from the biological side, but because he has that confirmation that my mom is just as bad as these people out here.
Yeah.
Why would I want to have a relationship with her?
And a lot of our moms are just as bad as these people out here. But in the Black community, they always look at mom like she's this Jesus-like person, and you can't say nothing to them, you know? And hence the reason why I would say hopefully in another 5 days, I'm coming out with my new card game called Like Mother, Like Daughter. And guess what? It's going to help you ladies heal your probably dysfunctional or I'm not going to say always dysfunctional, but I would say tumultuous relationship with your lying ass mother. Because like I said, your mama was probably a hoe. She probably don't know who the daddy was, and she probably put a dude on you, and your daddy might not be your daddy. Your mama probably lying to you. You probably seen and heard all kinds of mess you know, that your mama lied to you about, and you found out that was a lie. Your mom may have verbally, physically, or emotionally abused you, but you can't say that your mom did that, because the first thing somebody's gonna say, that's your mama, you need to love your mama, she raised you, right? And you might have some resentment towards your mom, and you really just want to just sit down and have a heart-to-heart conversation with your mom to get all of these feelings and resentments out, but you can't, because since you have a Black mom, you think your mom's going to slap you in the mouth if you bring something up. But my Like Mother, Like Daughter card game is going to give you an intimate, fun way of sitting down with your whole mother and be able to just have this conversation about your mom being a hoe when you was little.
Oh my God. Being a hoe when you was little. And Mr. Let Go introduces.
Your mama was a hoe. You know what? I should have named the card game Your Mama Was a Hoe. Oh my God. All right, so let's get
shook my world. It has shaken my world. Even now, I'm still shooketh.
Damn.
I'm still in the middle of the impact of that car wreck. And Deborah still denies it.
Still.
And we took another DNA test for her.
She still denies it.
And she still denies it to this very day. I have not talked to her since.
It's funny though. to this day, you still refer to her as Deborah, not Mom.
Cause she ain't shit.
You refer to Rick as Rick.
Mr. Rick. I call him Mr. Rick. It's because he's a good guy.
Right.
He didn't know.
Right.
So it's not on him.
Right.
But what people need to understand is because, one thing that has been very hard for me, and I'll be honest with you, Mr. Shannon, it is very hard for me when people come up and go, oh, this is so beautiful. This is a beautiful thing. You are united with your father. It's beautiful. I need for people to understand.
Ricky Smiley, dumbass. Ain't that some dumb shit Ricky Smiley say? You need to be fortunate that you have a mother. Shut up.
I'm 53 years old. I wasn't looking for a daddy.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes we ain't looking for all of this stuff and all this turmoil. And now we gotta, walk into this damn tornado of feelings that we don't feel like, Simone Biles don't want to go through all this shit. She wants to enjoy her accomplishments and shit. And now she got to deal with this old ass woman talking all this shit about her on the damn interview. Same thing with Kirk Franklin. We ain't got time for this shit. But should we make time for this shit?
Only if you want to. Only if you want to. I was the kind of person that was like, I need to know the real me.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know, and a lot of people, if you have and I mean awesome, great, tight proof relationship with those who adopted you, you're not going to want to look for the people that gave you up. Mm-hmm. And while I have a good relationship with my adopted parents, there's still a part of me that felt like it was missing because I'm not like them in nature. I'm like them in, and how they raised me and the things that they instilled in me. Yeah. But like my silly nature, not necessarily them. My, love to dance and listen to music and not necessarily them, so.
Wait, you be dancing with your daddy?
We had the music on. We had the music playing. Soon,
really?
Turn on the music. It was just so crazy. That's what I'm saying.
I love it.
When you are reunited with where you biologically come from, you'll just see things happen, and then you'll get this revelation. A lot of people don't get a revelation about their lives because they don't have to. There's no reason for them to. But when you get a revelation about certain things, you're like, wow, like that's crazy. And again, it contributes to the wholeness of who you are.
Yeah.
Not just a part of your life. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that anyone, have to go looking for their biological parents. I'm not saying that at all. It's not necessarily a requirement that you have to do in your life, but that primal wound, again, is a real thing. And if you're, I've always been a curious person. I've always, when it comes to just knowledge and life in general, and then again, about me, myself, and me as a person, like, I wanted to know what they at least look like. I said, God, if you at least let me know what they look like, at least I can, compare my features off of, someone, just a simple things as simple as that. But then down to, health issues, like my dad has high blood pressure. I've never known anything about any of my medical history. That was the first piece of information about medical history that I've ever received. And I just met him last month. So, things like that are important, but because of hurt feelings, because of lying, because of, this deception, nobody wants to get into that because it's like, all right, well, you already lying to me. How can we really build? That's why I say you got to be honest, open, and transparent. His mom wasn't that. And now look at Kirk Franklin. I'll never want to talk to her ever. That's not how you have to be with kids that are adopted or in foster care. You have to be honest. I say hot. You got to have the hot conversation, the honest, open, and transparent conversation, because adopted kids already feel like people lying to them. They already feel like people against them, whispering in ears, don't know what's going on. No, you got to be honest. And I tell people all the time, my aunt adopted one of my sister's daughters, right? And I said, you're going to have to, and she's worried about when do I tell her and when do I open up? And it's like, you can still use child verbiage to speak to a child about certain things and still be honest with them without having to say the truth in its rawness and its, in its rawness. You can still put things in a certain way.
Yeah.
I mean, I have education under my belt on how to deal with children, but a lot of people don't. And so when you don't have that education, you need to go seek that education. You can't lean on your own understanding. Like the Bible says, you can't lean on your own understanding to try to figure stuff out and describe things to people when you don't have the knowledge. That means you need to go take a course. You need to talk to people who've been in it. You need to really gain that experience in order to have that honest, open, and transparent conversation, because that's all an adoptee or a foster care child is going to respect. Honesty. That's all they're going to respect. If you can't be honest with them, and that's in real life, that's till they die. If you can't be honest with them, they don't want to deal with you.
So let me play this. I think this is it. Let me see what this is. Hey.
Hey, Daddy.
Hey.
First of all,
oh, this is about my daughter. I thought it was about my dad. Let's see.
She started.
Well, actually, huh?
I said she started off with, first of all.
So this I was looking for the video of me and my dad, but let's play this real quick because this is about my daughter. Hey.
Hey, Daddy.
Hey.
First of all, in all situations, I feel as though the parent set the tone. So I always knew that you would, number one, be there, even though there was a divorce. But you just set that tone to let me know you was always going to be a provider and be there. I guess I may have had a very different experience than most people. And I never want to be insensitive to what people have went through. But the dynamic of everything that happened, it became beneficial. That was beneficial in my adult life that I learned from what I went through when I was a child.
Isn't she so articulate?
She is.
Like, wait, I gotta back that up. Just listen how articulate she is. Huh?
Is that Kiki?
Yeah.
Okay.
Than most people. And I never want to be insensitive to what people have went through. But the dynamic of everything that happened, it became beneficial. That was beneficial in my adult life that I learned from what I went through when I was a child.
How was it beneficial?
So it was okay. So for instance, moving from one side of town to a whole nother different side of town, me knowing that my dad operated a certain way, I used everything that happened and everything you taught me to make sure that I didn't go on path or anything like that. Compared to if he was in a household while I was going through those things as a young teen, I probably would have been a little bit more like acting out type of.
Yeah.
Like,
so I gave you more of a system and structure on how to deal with the outside world.
Yes.
And I left her alone with that system instead of being overbearing. That would have caused her to rebel. That's what she said.
She wasn't there, but you still was an aid. I had essentially what I needed.
Let me ask you a question, because Corey Holcomb said, she just like her mama. I can't deal with her. You just like your mama. And my question to you is, between me and your mama, you are just like who between me and your mama?
I would say I'm more like you.
Okay.
In a character aspect, in a way of going about life, in a moral aspect, I am definitely more like you. Yes.
Okay. Who do you think your sister would say she's just more like, me or your mama?
She's more like you.
Like me. Okay. Let me see if it's some party and your mom was like, no. I was like, why are you telling her no? You go to a house party or whatever to cover your drink and do and then next thing you know, you went to a house party and you follow all my instructions.
Yes, and that was years later. You told me that when I wasn't even thinking about a party.
Yeah, I remember the time you wanted to go to some party and your mom was like, no. I was like, why are you telling her no? She was like, but it may be drugs. I was just like, I taught her about drugs. Let the girl go live her life. Like, we are here to get rid of them. Go live your life. Go do stupid stuff. And if you end up doing something crazy, I'm still gonna love you, but you're gonna have to deal with the consequences. It ain't my life, so I don't care. Right?
Yeah.
And I wanted y'all to go live y'all lives. So yeah, y'all did whatever y'all did. But at the end of the day, you had structure. And that's the problem I have with single mothers, because moms, they just nurture. they don't train, they don't prepare people for the outside world. You know, my kids are prepared for the outside world. Is there anything that I did not prepare you for that you ran into?
Trying to think. I will say, as collectively, you and mommy, when I was younger, could have done a little bit better with letting me know how important it was for me to regulate
your emotions.
Because I feel like you like now, just recently, you expressed to me how like you can't care with things like that, and I don't care what they think. I care about how people treat me based off what they think.
She said you can't care about how people think. Yeah.
But I had to learn to stop doing that, stop being so, because I'm very passionate.
Yeah.
So I wish I would have learned that a little bit younger.
Yeah. And with Corey Holcomb in this situation, this is the reason why I'm doing this show, is to, because hopefully Corey Holcomb watches this live stream at some point, and he's able to hear you and be like, damn, because me and you butted heads for a while. And one day I woke up and found out that I was being stubborn, and it was me and it wasn't you, because we love to be like, oh, it's them. No, it was me. It was me. And some beautiful, amazing person enlightened me to that. And, you know, my ex actually woke me up, because she literally was like, I'm the daughter of a father that is going through what your daughter is going through. So I know exactly what your daughter is thinking. And it's you. You're the problem. And I was like, how? And she explained it to me, how it was. And I was able to hear it because it was unbiased. You know, because when two people are in the same ring, they both have their own agendas. I want to do this. And then the father's like, you can't do this. And you're like, I'm mad. And you're like, I don't care, right? But when another person, like a referee, comes in and says, wait, I too have been through this, and you are wrong and not her, I was like, oh, crap. And we are really the best. I'm not going to say the best we've ever been, but we're great, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share my own dynamic with that, because it's father, daughter, father, mother, son, all this other stuff. It's so important for all of us to be able to heal from. And just for me and my daughters to learn and heal from things in real time is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, those conversations are important. And I don't think that when you're a parent and you're raising children, you don't necessarily think on the level that they're thinking of, because you're thinking higher than them, like, right? Like God, like they're higher than our thoughts. So, but he's still got enough to come down to check on our thoughts and to hear our thoughts and to help us through our thoughts. And that's all that parents need to do sometimes. Sometimes we just need to get down off of our high horse and come down to the children's level. They teach you that when you're going into children's education. I don't know if you ever saw that video of the little boy, and they said that he had ADHD, and the dad is like, if you was on a boat with bananas and chocolate, and his dad is, and he's like, but I'm not on a boat, and the parent is up here, the child is down here trying to have this conversation with his dad, and he's wondering why his child is not concentrating on what he's saying. Well, all the way up there, Dad, there's space between me and you, and so there are other things that are going on in my head. But if he was to get down on his son level and to look him in his eyes and have that conversation with him, his son would be more in sync with him, more in line with him.
It's like a giraffe and an ant
trying to have a conversation.
And a giraffe is like, what are you talking about? Everything I see is food and trees. Just
you are the ant trying to fight for his life, trying to
the ant is like, you know what I'm saying? And the giraffe is like, what are you talking about?
See what I'm going through down here. I'm fighting for my life, and the giraffe is like, it's great up here. I got the trees. I can eat good. You know what I mean? And you got to come down to each other's level, and so. going back to the Simone Biles level, it just seems like, actually Simone is probably on a higher level than her mom. And that's why her mom is like, okay, I'm leaving the door open for you. Because I already know, like, you have this guidance, you have this wisdom, you had the direction. And so you're probably more emotionally intelligent than I am. And so I'm going to have to wait till you're ready, if that's the case. Kirk Franklin's mom is, she's out the gate lying to him. And he's like, what are you lying to me for? Like, if you don't know, just say you don't know who my dad is, but don't lie and say that this man is not my father. And everyone can see that our nature is the same. Everybody can see we the same height. Everybody can see we got the same ears. Everybody can see that we're, and you study telling me and then going to deny it even after we got the proof.
Facts.
That's crazy. That's insanity. That's toxic. And so you got to be honest, and you got to be open, and you got to be transparent, because that's the only way you're going to have intimacy with your children. A non-sexual intimacy with your child is for you to be honest, open, and transparent with them. And that's how they'll feel love from you. That's how they will acquire love for you and be able to give it back. I just met my father a month ago, but we talk every day. And that's because we can have open, honest, and transparent conversations for me to want to call him and not be, why he not calling me? No, I want to hear your voice, because I know when I hear your voice, we're going to have a conversation. You're going to be honest with me. You're not going to try and, pacify me in some type of way or feel like you have to talk to me because we done found out that we related. No, we have a relationship because we're cultivating a relationship off of honesty.
Totally agree with you on that. Shout out to Dana. Dana, let me know if you want to come up. I would love to have you come up if you've been watching thus far. I would love for Dana. Dana is the general of my coaching group. She's the supervisor, the second in charge of our coaching group. So shout out to Dana. But Dana, let me know if you want to come up. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And October 3074, yes, you are late. And you got to rewind, because I think we had a lot of good conversations or whatever. So I can't just say what we talked about, but we talked about Simone Biles, and now we're talking about Kirk Franklin.
He wasn't looking for a son. Right. Do you know how much deconstructing it takes to live your whole life knowing who you believe your daddy to be and you hated him? And so now that you get this information, you just don't go, oh, well, let me turn that off. Right. Hi, Dad. Right. It's like, just because you're introduced to love doesn't mean that you know how to receive it. Right. Especially when you have lived a lie, and people don't even understand also the power a mother has over a child. The fact that my mama ain't been in my life, but still denying me that truth, that impacts the way that I can embrace and still even move through this process.
Do you think she knew that Mr. Rick was your father instead of Dwight?
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, King. If we're not gonna even start the cap, I was looking at everybody crazy.
So in other words, you're like,
and I had to cut it there because it was so long. Pause. But he was he was talking about how he was looking at everybody crazy because he grew up in a small city, and he's like, yeah, I knew she was lying because my mama was a hoe. He just didn't want to say my mama was a hoe, but in a nice way, he was like, yeah, because my mom was fucking everybody. According to what people, when everybody grow up, like, oh yes, your mama was a whore. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't want to say that.
Then when your mom lied to you, it's like, okay, if she's not going to tell me the truth, nobody going to tell me the truth. So then you do start looking at everybody crazy. That's why I say adopted people are very headstrong. Because once we get something in our head, it takes a lot for us to either get off of that thought or that pathway of thinking, because we feel like we have to be our own investigators and our own, safety nets and things of that nature.
Because you've always been your own safety net.
Yeah. So when you don't have it from the outside, you're closed off on the inside to people on the outside.
Do y'all ever trust that it can be an external safety net? or it's always this feeling of it's just a temporary safety net?
That's a good question. So the only safety net that I'm sure of is God. Anybody else, I don't put that much.
I mean, compared to you, you being your own safety net, can you see another human, because you're a human? I understand about God. So you're a human. Do you see, or can you see, as an adopted person, another person being the same type of safety net you are for yourself? That's the question.
No, that's always like a work in progress. That's always something that you are trying to talk to yourself about, get yourself through. Um, it takes being curious about someone who was adopted and in foster care. It takes curiosity and your own, that other person own willingness to want to understand what it is to be in foster care and adoption, right? To understand what that safety net actually even means.
Yeah.
And so once that adoptee or person in foster care is safe around that person, and it's kind of like, you're showing yourself, you're proving yourself to be committed to this in that way, it helps. But that's something that that an adoptee is always like, they're not going to have me like I have me. They're not going to, or you think it's temporary because you've been in a lot of temporary situations growing up. You've become a transient in your life that you just feel like every relationship is going to essence be that, I mean, in totality, we're never all in each other's lives forever. Right. And so I learned that from a young age. If I can be taken from my mom at a young age, that told me that I'm not going to be in nobody's life for a long time.
But doesn't that keep you from being in somebody's life for a long time?
It does, but at the same time, it gives you a realer view of knowing how to let people go, Mr. Let Go. It gives you a realer view of knowing that, I'm in this, but at the same time, it's not something that I'm necessarily stuck in, or, I don't have to be here. Being when you're taken away from your home base, like I said, you become a transient in the world. You're moving throughout the world. And so you kind of go throughout life like that. And you're comfortable being that way. Whereas there are other people that's like,
yeah,
I want to stay in Kansas and I'm never leaving Kansas. And my friends are my friends. And I've had the same friends for 25 years. And that's my life. And you're a doctor in foster care. You done been to each state to state. You're not scared to, be alone. You're not scared to go somewhere by yourself. You're not scared of those things because all good things will probably come to an end, and then something else will begin. Like, you know what I mean? You just have that mindset of
you're conditioned for something new to begin and something old to end.
Yeah, because that's how your life goes.
That makes sense.
It's just, whereas somebody that wasn't adopted or in foster care are so used to normalcy that even if they're in a toxic relationship, they'll stay there. Because why shift the waves? Whereas when you're adopted and stuff, they rocking your seat from the beginning. Like you're in the waves, like, so you learn how to lean with it, rock with it. Like, you literally learn how to do that, and you learn different people, and you learn different relationships, and and then it takes you where it takes you. But life has taken me on a journey of being able to have relationships with people, being able to have a heart to serve people even when people didn't do me right. Like, you know what I mean? So it depends on where you allow it to lead your heart too. Because adoption and foster care can make people bitter. It can make people, dangerous. It can make people not talk. And because they're not talking, they're getting sick on the inside, but on the outside, they look okay. So it's a lot that's involved in it, but I would say that when that adoptee feels like that other person is committed to understanding them and they're considerate and they consider that person who's been adopted and things of that nature, then yes, it's easier to, find a safety net in that person.
It's a lot of layers to people who aren't adopted versus people who are adopted, because there's layers of understanding of somebody that had a totally it's like one thing about somebody being a military brat, they had their parents, but they moved all these different places. But an adoptee is like a military brat who had different parents in different
families. Yeah, it's like back in the day they had them foreign exchange students. And they would stay in a people's house and go to school or whatever, but then they would go back to their family. It's different when you're in foster care because
you don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice. You don't know, you don't know the time, you don't know when you're leaving. You don't know, you got a trash bag with you. My stuff was literally in a trash bag going from house to house to house. They don't even give you suitcases. Like,
how long would you be in one house versus another house? That's interesting.
For me, it was in spouts of like a year and a half. So I would be in a house 1 year, year and a half, and I'll go to another house. You have these, people that you form relationships with. You have these foster brothers and sisters that, I talk about having this Indian brother before, like, it's just, and like I said, you just really just going along with what you're going along with until you take a hold of your own life. Then when you take a hold of your own life, it's like, okay, I'm not going to let this happen, or I'm not going to let that happen, or they not going to talk to me crazy, or they you become headstrong on certain things because now you have control over your life. Whereas before you don't have no control, you don't have no information. Like I said, in my adopted home, there was no talking about my biological family. There was no getting to know me through them. It's like, I'm just going to get to know you. Well, I was hurt back then. I didn't have the language to speak back then. So, maybe if you did get to know me through getting to know where I came from and what I've been through before I got to this home, maybe it would have made me open up.
Yeah.
But I was silent. I was one of those people who didn't speak. When I was angry, I didn't talk. If I was on punishment, got a whipping, you wouldn't see me cry. I would take my beating like a G and keep it moving. Then I came to a point where it's like, I can't keep all this stuff inside of me. Like, I can't, because then I develop anger issues. Then I'm just cursing everybody out. Then I'm, and it just wasn't healthy for me. It wasn't healthy for me, and it wasn't healthy for the people that was around me. So I had to figure out a way of, how can I get this out without disrespecting others? How can I get this out with still honoring myself? How can I get this out with still honoring my parents who adopted me? Because it's not about, speaking ill towards them. It's about speaking the reality of my situation. I love them dearly, but at the same time, the facts are the facts.
It has to come out.
Yeah. So you gotta be willing and open to have conversations like this on an open forum, where other people can see different aspects of what other people go through that
layers
you'll never, have never experienced. Or you may know somebody. Everybody knows somebody that's been adopted. Like, oh, I know so-and-so been adopted. Even I was just at work yesterday and they was like, oh yeah, so-and-so. Because of me speaking about my story, they're like, oh yeah, so-and-so is adopted and so-and-so is adopted. You look at them, you would never know, but they probably would never tell you either.
Right.
So because a lot of people think that adoption and foster care is like something to be shameful about. And honestly, it was the best thing that could have happened to me. So I can't be shameful. That's not something that shames me. And plus, God has restored everything that I lost. So I can't be mad at how my life turned out. I'm grateful for how it turned out.
That part, I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. Do you think I think Kirk Franklin is really going through it though? I don't think he has the same positive feeling as you have. Just listen to what he has to say, because it's a lot.
I'm 53 years of,
because I just watched this 2 hours ago, so this is fresh on my mind. I'm like, Damn.
Age. I wasn't looking for a father. He wasn't looking for a son. Because when I was looking for a father, he wasn't looking for a son.
Yes.
And so now it is
it's not that it's too late. I am just having to deconstruct everything. And
how do you undo 50 plus years though, Kirk?
Say what?
How do you undo 53 plus years?
It's hell. It's hell. It's hell. My therapist bill is out the, and I'm in therapy and I'm walking it out and I'm trying to process it. And you know, I'll be honest with you, it breaks my heart that my mama still ain't called me through this. It breaks my heart, bro. Documentaries come out. I ain't never heard from my mama. You know, and it's amazing the impact mamas have on
That's the heal. That's the wound that has to heal.
Yeah.
Not Mr. Rick.
Yeah.
Not Mr. Dwight that's passed.
Yeah.
That's the wound.
Yeah.
That the salve needs to be spread on.
Yeah.
So it can heal.
Yeah.
Have you thought about having a conversation? Have you thought about having therapy with your mom? Because I think you guys, there's some things that you need to hear from her. There's some things she needs to hear from you, but it needs to be in a controlled setting.
Mm-hmm.
Watch this.
Maybe someday.
And I want to stop it right here. I actually had to edit it because he sat there for like a whole minute
without saying anything.
And I was just like, this little part right here. I had to edit it because I was like, it just broke my heart for him to just this part right here.
Guys, there's some things that you need to hear from her. There's some things she needs to hear from you, but it needs to be in a controlled setting.
Mm-hmm.
This right here.
Maybe someday, I don't know. I don't know. And I'm okay to say I don't know. I'm okay to say that I don't have the answers. I don't know.
Have you thought about opening the door first? Because I think deep down, Kurt, I think you're wanting her to take that step. Because she was the adult. She did what she did. She gave you away because at a young age, you say she was about 15. That's asking an awful lot for a 15-year-old to take the responsibility because a 15-year-old can barely take care of themselves, let alone another body.
Yeah.
I think, Kurt, you would get so much more if you took that first step, if you opened.
And just remember, Kirk Franklin was adopted. He was given away when she was 15.
That door.
Here's another one. He did it 2 times. I had to edit this too. He sat there a long time right here too. Just look at that, man.
You know, there's a great fear too of opening up that door because you don't know. The unknown.
We fear what we don't know.
Yeah, and the fact that there were 2 tests that she denies.
Kurt, you have to understand when someone is told a lie for so long.
Yeah.
She told you this lie for 50 plus years.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that part? That right there broke my heart. I just seen this.
It's so real. The first part when you first started playing it, he was in his feelings because she didn't call. But if you really look at it and you are real about the situation, it's like, does he really truly want her to call after hearing her continuously lie to him? I think that's the little boy in him
being rejected.
I want my mom there, but I don't want her there. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when he say that, or when, Shay Shay asks him like, hey, maybe it's you that needs to make the first move. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I just don't know. Like, I just don't know what's going to be on the other side. I think he knows that
she's going to reject him.
Probably not going to get the honesty that he wants. And so why go through that? Why go through that? I don't know. I would say with me, because I have come to accept my story and everything that has happened in my life, seeking my parents and wanting to know more about them. I can't say that I never thought about, not knowing what was on the other side. I think I always just left it open to whatever God had for me. Like, even if it was bad, I was okay with it. Even if it was
what if you had this confirmation or pre-confirmation that your parents will reject you if you reach out to them? Would that change?
Well, like
that's kind of like how he seems to feel.
Like he said, he wasn't looking for a father. See, Kirk Franklin was raised
I'm talking about the mother. Like doing therapy, it's like he has a pre-confirmation that she's going to reject him or say no or lie or say something negative or make their experience negative, where he already almost knows what's going to happen. I mean, like that.
That probably would change it. That definitely would change my outlook and how I would go to seek and find out things.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I just kept a good attitude throughout it all.
Yeah.
I think that really helps in all things that you go through, whether it's health issues, things like this. Your attitude has a lot to do with outcomes.
Facts.
Because even if you have a good attitude and a bad outcome, the nature of that attitude shouldn't change. You should still have a good attitude. Like, you know what I mean? And so I think I went into it like that, still having a good attitude because my parents raised me well. They introduced me to the church and God. And so I cultivated my own relationship with God. I didn't have to lean on nobody for that. I didn't have to like, can you pray for me? Like, yes, I need your prayer, but I know how to talk to God for myself. I know how to seek him for myself. I know how to go to him when I'm hurting and when I'm in pain and how to get out of that. And so I already had all those tools going into it. And when I found my mom, I was 21. I literally just found my mom last month, and I'm, in my mid 30s, or found my dad last month, and I'm in my mid 30s. So I've been through counseling. Like I've been through a lot of things that helped me develop my feelings and outlooks towards my situation too. And a lot of people don't do that. It's almost like, if you run a marathon, you got to get some conditioning under your belt before you try to run a marathon, because you're going to be hurting, mile 2 or 3, you're going to be cramping, you're going to be getting Charlie horses, you're going to be in pain, and you're not going to know how to handle it. Well, if you go through that conditioning and you get that help and you do those things beforehand, then no matter what you go through or no matter how it turns out, you still have the conditioning to get yourself back together and to heal yourself and to, and so I would say that I'm grateful enough that I had that mature outlook on it, whereas some people don't. And I'm not saying that Kirk doesn't. I'm just saying that it's still a journey for him. And all this is still a journey for myself as well. Like, it's still, you're still, asking God certain questions. But at this point, I try not to question God. Like, I try not to question why certain things happen. I just live in expectancy. Like, if it don't happen today, it'll happen tomorrow. And if it don't happen tomorrow, it'll happen the next day. And I just wake up living like that. And some people just don't have that. And for Kirk, I think, like you said, because he's already been let down and lied to once, that going back into that door is what hurts him. And he's a man. And what I'm saying is, men and women process heartbreak a lot different. And I think it's a lot harder on men.
It's harder on us. Yeah.
Getting his heart broken over and over and over again by his mom is probably not something that he could probably even physically handle, let alone mentally and emotionally. Kirk Franklin has a lot going on. He, has loyalties to so many different areas in his life that dealing with that, like he said, like he took that long pause. He's thinking about his whole life and he's like, where am I going to fit that in at? Should I even fit it in? Is that really even that important to me now at this point? So only thing I can say is, if you're going to go into the fire, I'm glad I didn't come out smelling like smoke. There are people that'll go into the fire and come out smelling like smoke, and they don't know how to put themselves out. They don't know how to pat themselves out. They don't know how to, and I'm glad that I was able to do that. But I give my parents credit for that, as well as myself, as taking accountability of knowing that I was hurting and in pain and needed to do something about it before I started hurting people around me and the people that come in my life.
Yeah.
So that's definitely what needs to happen if you're in a situation like this. You don't need to go in blindly, but you do need to go in knowing how to put yourself together again if it doesn't go the way that you would want it to go or in a favorable way, you know?
That makes sense. Yeah. 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 We men do hurt easier or more or whatever.
It's harder to recover.
Yeah, it's harder to recover. And there's always been this stigma that we hurt less. You know what I'm saying?
No,
And it's not that we hurt less often. So women hurt a little bit. He's a narcissist. He did this. He cheated. We don't go through what y'all go through because we not finna give our hearts to every goddamn body, you know? But when we do make a choice to give our heart to somebody, it's hard when it doesn't, when we don't get the results that we look for because we actually made a choice. See, y'all fall in love. We choose to love a person. You know what I'm saying? So we think like, should I do this? Nah, I ain't gonna do this. Or either, yes, I'm gonna do it. And then everything goes crazy and you're like, what in the hell just happened? You know what I'm saying?
It's just like adoption. If you think about it, right? You're choosing to love someone, right? And if it doesn't go the way that you would want it to go, now you're feeling abandoned, you're feeling rejected, you're all of that.
Yeah.
And the adoptee feels the same way, but on the flip side of it. Like, you know what I mean? That's why it's important.
You're used to it not working out. So you're like, oh well. The person that adopts the child, they're like, this is my child. And they're like, oh my God. And then if something happens, you're like, what should happen? Because I see what you're saying. It's a level of
that's why a lot of men don't adopt. A lot of men don't, a lot of couples. But if you ask a man, would you want to adopt a child? The no will come out with the quickness. It wouldn't even be like a thought. Because the hurt of the rejection of that child is not worth him sacrificing his life and what he has built and things of that nature in order to raise that child. So it takes a special type of someone to, sacrifice in that way.
Yeah, I agree.
You think that after
fair,
you could
fair.
I mean, people will tell you a lie tomorrow, and they'll keep telling that lie because they believe repetition of a lie will make it the truth.
Fair.
It's because it's not for her. At this point in time, nothing you do is for her. It's for you.
I think that when I'm alone right now, what I sit with is because the truth is this happened when I was working on the album.
Yes.
And then the album came out and then the tour. So I've been blessed to be busy.
Right.
And so now that the tour just ended last week, I'm having to sit in a little bit more than I've had to. So when I'm sitting now by myself, I think it's also more of, ain't this some, it's, I can't believe this has really happened.
And Angie says, why is that? Meaning, why is it that men are more attached than a woman, and a woman is easily able to just move on and just go about her business? But like you said, as an adoptee, just a woman, period, women get, because I always say this, and it's true. Out of all the men you've ever had sex with, is a guarantee that 90% of them didn't want you. And that's the truth. It's only a small percentage of the men that you've ever had sex with in your life, no matter who you are as a woman. It's only a small amount of men that actually wanted you, loved you, and wanted to give everything to you or whatever, but the timing was all right. But most of them, they just wanted to smash. So in my opinion, as a man, not a woman, y'all have to be prepared to be let go. You have to be prepared that this man just wanted to smash or just wanted you temporarily, just wanted this. So when it happens, you kind of expect him to cheat or this or whatever. But when we actually get with a woman, we're not used to, we got cheated on when we was in high school, when we was in middle school, or one time when we was an adult. We don't get our heart broken all the time. We're usually the heartbreakers. So when it happens to us, we crying and shit. You know what I'm saying? So to answer Angie's question, that's the reason why, because women to a certain degree are mentally prepared for the man to do them wrong because it just happens.
We're embracing for like impact, whereas y'all are, not. So when it happens, it's like, oh my God, like what?
We're shocked. Yeah. And then there's a certain amount of I would say adjacent narcissism. Women are narcissists in one way and men are narcissists in another way. So a woman sees both sides. A woman will say, I don't believe in myself. I don't look at myself highly. Why would somebody want to be with me? I got so many issues. Nobody's ever going to want to be with me. And then at the same time, you'll say, I'm a good woman. Why doesn't men want to be with me? What is wrong with these men? Right? So women have like two opposite ways of narcissism hitting you at the same time, is no self-worth and narcissism. We just have narcissism. So we just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and how dare you leave me? And when I'm this, that, you know what I'm saying? So women have a self-worth / narcissism problem, like two dichotomies at the same time, and we men just have narcissism. So there's a how dare you do this and do that, and women are like, oh, I expect this to happen because I don't think highly of myself anyway. Hopefully, Angela, that helped you out.
I think the reality of what has happened is hitting me more now than ever before, because I was blessed to stay busy. Because if I wasn't busy, I probably would have lost it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I probably would have lost it.
Do you believe that she started to come back around along with the person you believe to be your biological father? They wanted something. They found out what you had become, who you had become.
Back.
And this is the Simone Biles situation. Is her mother trying to come back to her simply because she has money?
Years ago,
yes.
When Deborah, that's how it made me feel. It's because she was not in my life.
Right.
Even even when I was homeless, sleeping in my car and didn't have food as a young 19, 20-year-old man, nobody was around. Nobody was looking out for me.
Right.
Nobody checked on me. And so when
did she know where you were at that age?
It's Fort Worth, Texas. I'm not hard to find. And I was living in the house that Gertrude died in.
Okay.
So I'm where everybody know I'm at. Yeah.
And just for the record, I want to say this because Tyler Perry, you'll hear about dudes that sleeping in their car. The dudes who were 19, early ages, sleeping in their cars, they didn't have no game, because when the rest of us our lives fell apart, we have the ability to go live with a woman or some shit. So the dudes who live in a house, live in their cars and shit, they ain't got no game, they can't fuck, or they can't do something right or whatever, because you can easily get you some chick and she'll let you live in her house in 2 weeks. So I just want to say that. So if you as a man, you've ever slipped in your car and you was homeless, you had nowhere to go, you ain't got no game, because there's always a woman out here ready for some dude who ain't got no money to come live in her house. Do you agree with that or disagree, Precious?
I mean, I've never been a homeless man before looking for somewhere to live. So I wouldn't know. I don't know. I don't know no women like that. I don't know.
Please, chicks will bring you in 2 weeks. If you make her feel good, whether it's emotionally or sexually or whatever, she'll move your ass in a minute. I wish I would be homeless. No, something. I always said a long time ago, I don't know if I ever told you this, You ever heard my story? If I ever wake up homeless in a random city and it's cold outside and I ain't got no ID?
Yeah, you gonna go to a fat woman's house, right? Something like that. What did you say? You gonna go to a fat woman's house?
Yeah, the first day I'm find me a Walmart. I'm gonna catch the city bus.
You know what? You know where you can find a lot of those at?
Where?
In Louisiana. I couldn't believe how many big girls I saw in Louisiana. And when I tell you, they just let it all hang out. Like they just, and it's just normal. And I heard that the guys like it. I every time I turned around, it was like another big girl, another big girl.
You know where the brokest dudes are? Louisiana,
yeah.
Mississippi, down in that Gulf area, dudes be broke as shit. And so the women like in certain cities or either in the hood, behind every door is a fat woman and a skinny dude, guaranteed. Everyone. So so these dudes talking about they slip in their car. I'm like, bro, something's wrong with you, or I'm sorry. And that might sound crazy, but I'd be damn if I sleep in my goddamn car. I'm never sleep in my car. I'm finna always find or have a woman's bed to sleep in if I ain't got my own. No way in hell. So I just want to say that.
I'm playing at the same churches, so I'm not hard to find. I don't want it to even come across like I'm on your show and there's a vengeance that I have for what my mother did. We don't know what she went through.
Right.
We don't know the pains in life that she had. We don't even know maybe what all the things she suppressed. I don't know.
Right.
All I know is that for me in my life, it's been turned upside down. It's been, like, I'll give you something that I even started to struggle with too, man. Like, can I keep it up?
No, keep it above.
This part right here.
I've even had my struggles with God. I've had my private struggles with God because I am a Christian that believes in the sovereignty of God, means that I believe that everything God allows or God creates, that nothing passes to us that doesn't go through God's hands first.
So y'all really, really, really got to listen to this. This right here was probably the deepest shit I ever heard. Listen to this part right here. Forget about the God this, God that part. Listen to what he said involving God.
That God can either stop things or God allows things for a greater reason. I humbly believe that. That's my humble biblical view of the sovereignty of God. So God and his sovereign plan allowed me to be raised without my daddy. And my daddy lived 10 minutes from me the majority of my life. Not having a daddy, we know what the stats say. The stats will say a young child raised with his father and mother has a better chance of survival.
Absolutely.
We all know the stats, right?
Yes.
And because he didn't have his dad.
So not having a child and not having a father, I got into a lot of trouble, learned a lot of inappropriate ways of survival with women and sexuality and different things, and made a lot of mistakes, to develop a lot of bad habits. Now, mind you, Mr. Rick was a kid himself.
Right.
He was a kid himself, but I didn't have a dad. God in his sovereign plan allowed that to stay away. In that, I developed some bad ways without having a male figure in my life, a mother figure, male figure in my life.
Which causes you to sin. So God doesn't want you to sin. Why would God put you in a position where you feel forced to sin?
What I would say to that is I've been there before therapy and just being angry with God. It's like, I don't understand. You know everything. Why would you do this?
Right.
It wasn't until I got more mature in my faith, and I truly believe that God allowed me to go through what I went through because he knew that I would come seeking after him.
Okay.
He knew that I would be so curious about me that I would have to come to him. And so he allowed those things to happen with me so I could come to him and so that he can just reveal certain things to me. But
because it's not about you and the sin, it's about you and God.
Right. So he knew that I would eventually just fall to my knees and be like, all right, God, like, what are you trying to show me? What are you trying to reveal to me? Why would you take my mother? Why would you take my father? I don't know my family. You gave me to these people. I don't know them. They want me to call them mom and dad, but they're strangers. he knew that I would eventually come to him and seek him. I remember being very young in church and feeling the spirit of God, and I didn't know what the feeling was or what was happening to me. And it wasn't even then when I was coming to seek him for all these answers, but that's, I feel like, when he planted it inside of me. But God is nothing more than a father to us, right? And so he's the all-knowing father. There's a song I love that says, I am not moved by what I see. He knows it all. He's gone before me.
Right.
So everything that I need, he will provide. Everything that I go through, he will make beautiful. And it may not be beautiful now, but I know, knowing his nature, we're going back to the nature of God. I know that he's kind. I know that he's giving. I know that he's forgiving. I know those things. So what I'm going through now may be hard. It may be a trial. I might be, but I'm not going through it with the attitude of, why is this happening to me? I'm going through it with the attitude of, God, what are you trying to teach me through it?
Yeah. So
be better.
Let me play this, because this is really the answer to Kirk Franklin's question. It was in my stories.
Let me ask you something. If someone prays for patience, you think God gives them patience? Or does he give them the opportunity to be patient? If they prayed for courage, does God give them courage, or does he give them opportunities to be courageous? If someone prayed for the family to be closer, do you think God zaps them with warm and fuzzy feelings? Or does he give them opportunities to love each other? I got one. A lot of people to serve. Enjoy. Let me ask you something.
So God gives you opportunities, not blessings. That's what I said in my stories. God gives you opportunities, not blessings. So what Kirk Franklin was saying was, why is God not giving me blessings? And he's giving me all this strife and all these problems. Well, he became a great man because he had the opportunity to be a great man. And he turned something into, because in order to be great, you know, it has to be like coal turning into a diamond type shit.
Gotta go through
You can't just be great without strife. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that right there just it hit me.
And some of those ways, when I became a Christian, now God calls those things sin. But in his plan, he kept some things away that could have helped some things not turn into the.
Because you need the strife in order to galvanize yourself. And it's like lifting weights. Like you can't just have muscles. You have to lift heavy ass weight. You have to sweat. You have to fail in order to get those muscles.
These bad sins that
Go
I was going to say, one of my favorite classes in high school was ceramics. I love ceramics. And they compare God to he's the potter, right? And the clay. And when you're doing ceramics, sometimes you got to strip some of that clay away. Sometimes you got to add clay. You got to mold it. And that's exactly what God is doing to us. You know, Kirk Franklin said he was busy. He was busy doing all the things that made him successful. Yet again, that primal wound was something that he didn't want to address because it would hurt. It would feel like he was being molded, and he didn't want to be sticked in pride and feeling, you know, all that stuff. And so we have to understand that the things that are sent to develop us is going to hurt. When you go to the gym, it is going to hurt. I told you I started my new job. My feet were hurting. Like it's going, but now they don't hurt like they used to.
Yeah.
You know, so you get to the other side of the pain and you're like, wow, like I just had to go through it. Like I just had to. And again, that attitude that you have while you go through something is what's going to carry you through it. And when you get to the other side, you'll understand how important it is to have that outlook on it while you're going through it.
Yes, 1000%. Hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. If y'all enjoying this show, hit the like button and share this video.
I struggle with. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So now there are things in me that God don't like, but also the things that He allowed.
He helped create.
So I've had my own private, and this is the first time I've ever said this publicly. I've never said this before. And me and God have had strong. And somebody would say, well, you don't know what kind of man Mr. Rick was. You know, he could have been a bad influence. You don't know what kind of man Mr. Rick could have been if he had a response, if he would have had
a responsibility of having a son.
Because men, you as men know, them kids grow you up.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that you gotta now.
I would not be who I am if it wasn't for my kids.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We don't know. And I'm not saying that I know. I'm just being transparent to say I've privately struggled. I've had my war. Like, I'm quite sure everybody listening to me, if
I want to say this, because my ex-wife's birthday was a couple days ago, right?
Belated birthday.
And I was talking to her or whatever, and we were just talking about the miss let go stuff because she was laughing because she seen me on Country Wayne. And I was like, you made me. She was like, what do you mean? I said, you made me. Like, the girls made me. You made me, you know? So what you see, to a certain degree, you help create, you know? Because I met you, like, we was together when I was a kid, you know what I'm saying? So she and the kids, you know, just all of it together, like me becoming a father is what made me into Mr. Let Go, you know? So if I would have never got married, if I would have never had kids, I literally would not be Mr. Let Go. I would not be on social media. I would be doing some other shit. So she was like, wow, that's interesting. But yeah, she literally made me. And she just didn't understand how she made me. But yeah.
you've never had anything you were like, God, why you take my mama? God, why you do this?
Of course.
If you've never had a war with God, you ain't never had no relationship with God.
Right.
Because if you got a relationship with God, you've had some wars with it.
Of course, there have been questions.
Yes, sir.
At the time as you were growing up, you're for this transition, and so now you're 10, now you're 15, you're 20. Did any of that, was that going through your mind at the time that my dad's not here, my mom, whatever reason she was, but I do have Miss Gertrude, our Gertrude, that's doing the best that she can. She was 64-year-old, she was a widow.
And by the time I'm 13, she's 73. She is a 73-year-old woman by the time I'm 13 years old.
With a 13-year-old.
She can't do nothing. She can't do nothing with me.
Right. She sleep at 6:30, you out the house.
Listen, listen, right after Price is Right.
Damn.
70, man. You said right after the Price is Right.
You know she old with a name like Gertrude.
Gertrude, okay? Gertrude said, look, I'm going to sleep. Lock the door.
But that's all we got. Now I'm about to go get something to eat. So I'm gonna cook. I'm gonna go downstairs and cook.
What you about to cook?
Huh?
What you about to cook?
Guess.
I don't know. Salmon?
Salmon and broccoli. I'm about to fire up the air fryer and get busy.
Get busy. You're gonna go in that room and hear an echo in there, yo. I'll never forget that.
What'd you say?
That your room with the echo.
Oh yeah.
Echoes in there. That was so funny. Well, enjoy. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been a while since we collaborated, so I appreciate you. And the chat and anyone who has watched and will watch. I hope you guys do gain some knowledge from the show, because talking about adoption and foster care is important because it affects a lot of people, and not a lot of people talk about it. And so getting that conversation out there and being comfortable to talk about it, even though you may not be adopted or foster care, will maybe give the courage to the person that is to actually open up about what they're going through. So I appreciate you guys for watching. And again, thank you, Mr. Let Go.
And y'all drop some fire emojis for the Real Precious, and make sure to go subscribe to her channel. Her YouTube channel is The Real Precious. Drop some fire emojis right now for the Real Precious, because I sat back because I wanted her to do her thing, because I've always known her to be this great person. So I really didn't even have no damn I don't know enough about this, so I just wanted her to do her thing and just kill it. And yeah, you did great. I learned a lot. Like, I just wanted to ask questions, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know nothing. I just wanted to ask questions because I literally had just more and more questions. So I just this was almost like an interview of Precious, you know what I'm saying? So this was
a lot of people on YouTube actually when I went on their channel, they wanted to interview me about adoption because because not a lot of people talk about it. So I appreciate being able to, you know, be on the different platforms to talk about it. And I'm grateful for the courage to talk about it, because again, people don't have the courage to talk about adoption, and the sooner you get it out, the faster you'll feel okay.
Yes, 1000%. All right, so I will talk to you later. I'm about to go downstairs and do my thing, jump into it, put my foot in this salmon.
In that air fryer. Hey, you gotta get it how you get it. Ain't nothing wrong with the air fryer. It still come out good.
Yes. So all right, y'all have a good rest of y'all day, and hit the like button if you have not already, and I'll talk to y'all later.
See you guys.
How about we meet up at a coffee shop and play this fun dating card game? We'll have fun and see if we're compatible all at the same time.
Ooh, what's the name of the game?
It's called Deeper Discussions.
I'm down.
Okay, meet you at 6.
Fellas, buy this card game. Ladies, buy this card game. Buy about 2 or 3 card games. The main reason why people can't stay together isn't because they don't like each other no more. It's actually because their present family issues come up or their past family issues come up. But when you play Deeper Discussions, you'll be able to understand a person's family issues up front.
This game can be played with either 2 people or an entire group. So have fun.
Question number 1. Name a time when money was the main factor why a relationship went bad.
Deeper Discussions Dating Edition. Again, these cards are good for vetting a potential boyfriend, a potential girlfriend, a potential husband, a potential wife. The texture of these cards are so soft and silky, by the way. Like
they ain't gonna get wore out.
Durable.
A dating card game for introverts who have a hard time asking the much needed compatibility questions. Deeper Discussions, the card game.